Yu Ziya transmigrates into a fantasy world and becomes a minor figure of the righteous faction, the Taijuan Holy Land. He possesses heaven-defying comprehension, yet is born with an ordinary mortal body. At this moment, a system is activated. As long as he creates cultivation techniques and spreads them to others, he can obtain rewards and defy fate itself. A mortal body worse than a dog? Then I'll use this mortal body to slaughter gods and prove the Tao. However, as more techniques are created, the entire Holy Land starts to feel less and less righteous. You created the Sunflower Manual and taught it to your disciples. 10,000 disciples castrated themselves, their cultivation skyrocketed. Reward, Bull Demon Kidney. You created 3 heads and 6 arms and taught it to your disciples. 100,000 disciples installed tiger heads, wolf heads, and for killing arms. Divine powers perfected. Reward, True Dragon Heart. You created the Taiyin Jade Maiden Heart Sutra and taught it to the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun turned into a woman. Combat power greatly increased. Reward, Tao Fusion Flower. You created 1 Che transforms into 3 pure ones and taught it to a great emperor. The emperor mentally tortured himself every day, eventually splitting into 3 people to research. Separately, the mortal arts perfected. Ding! The number of cultivators has reached 10 million. Reward, Supreme Immortal Weapon, Chaos Immortal Bell. Several years later, the demonic factions launch a siege against the Righteous Alliance. Not a single normal person among them, and you're telling me these are the righteous ones, facing tens of millions of insane, grotesque disciples. The demonic cultivators completely collapse, kneel to the ground, and beg for mercy. Immortal Emperor Yi, please stop creating cultivation techniques. Approaching closer. Led by Chen Buwang, the 100 people were getting closer and closer to Lingdu City. Swoosh! A Dao-slaying realm demon cultivator, truly restraining himself, drew his bow and fired an arrow. The arrow, like a shooting star, pierced the air, emitting a whistling sound, enough to kill a Dao-slaying realm expert. At this moment, everyone's breathing stopped. What the demon cultivators absolutely did not expect was that Chen Buwang did not dodge, but directly met the attack. Haha, cackle, it's all fake. Ha ha ha, my Taoist sect has become. I can't tell. I really can't tell. Don't kill, damn it. What, a child born? How can you give birth to a dog? A group of Taijuan disciples displayed bizarre expressions, alternating between crying and laughing, spouting nonsense. Boom! An arrow seemed to fly through the air, directly piercing through Chen Baiwang's body and exploding on the ground behind him, creating a shockwave that didn't even lift the corners of their clothes. Damn it, are those people human or ghosts? Oh heavens, am I hallucinating? Even ghosts couldn't possibly be unharmed. On the city wall, many demonic cultivators' scalps instantly exploded, their eyes nearly popping out. Even the knowledgeable Blood Jade Saint gasped, a chill running down his spine. He couldn't understand it. He really couldn't understand it. Is this Yi Ziya's technique? Blood Jade Saint suddenly thought of Yi Ziya's title, Grandmother of the Demonic Path. Now, seeing this scene, he officially realized the true meaning of that title. Extremely wicked. The sect created this discussion technique for these mentally ill people. It's too illogical. Their divine abilities are unattainable, entirely conceptual, not material, not divine souls, just a concept. One person performing it is fine, but 100 mentally ill people using this discussion technique, its power is unimaginable. Zhao Ziking broke out in a cold sweat. Previously, Yi Xiao had secluded himself for 3 days, forcing the king to transmit the technique, and later, the Taijuan Holy Land gained another organization, a mental hospital. Yi Xiao was the director. To be honest, even now he still can't understand this kind of method, because it encompasses time, space, yin and yang, the 5 elements, reality and illusion, truth and falsehood, life and death, all sorts of profound and mysterious principles of the great Tao. Baby, let your father give you a hug. Chen Buwang walked to the foot of the city wall. Seeing a young man at the harmonious Tao realm standing atop the city wall, his face full of kindness, he exclaimed, "Hug your mother." The young man roared, and as soon as he finished speaking, a second later, he inexplicably appeared in Chen Buwang's arms. Like embracing a giant, colossal creature, Chen Buwang sang a children's song, "Good baby, can I lull you to sleep?" Little rabbit, open the door a little. If you don't open it, I won't come out. Holy cow, that young man, holy cow. Not only the blood jade saint of the demonic Dao and his group, but even the fire child of the Taijuan Holy Land were stunned. Their brains froze. This is the child summoning technique, Su Maoan exclaimed. She had seen her senior brother practice it. Whoever he embraced would be doomed. 8 years ago, Zhang Jianyan encountered this and, being a celestial being, created the story I Lost My Child. Chen Buwang incorporated this technique into his practice, seeing everyone as his own lost child and wanting to embrace them. It was called by many Taijuan disciples Taijuan tragic literature. The demon cultivator lying in Chen Baiwang's arms was utterly bewildered, staring blankly around. Who am I? Where am I? What do I want to do? Then, the hairs on the demon cultivator's chest stood on end, wanting to escape, to frantically flee from this place. These more than 100 people were simply vengeful spirits. They were 1,000 times more sinister than vengeful spirits. He had heard of teleporting to someone else's side, but never of someone else teleporting into his chest. This divine ability was beyond his comprehension. However, having escaped, he hadn't even run 100 yards before he was back in Chen Baiwang's arms. Little rabbit, open the door a little. Chen Baiwang's eyes were gentle, full of affection for a child. This scene would be harmonious anywhere, except here. Numb. This demon was completely numb. Little rabbit, open the door a little. Why won't you come out? Why won't you come out? Damn it, why won't you come out? Suddenly, Chen Bixing, having lost all maternal affection, his face filled with ferocity, tightly gripped the demon's neck. The demon suffocated, fearfully trying to escape, but no matter how hard he tried, the large hand was like a vice, tightly gripping him. He couldn't resist for more than a few seconds. The demon's face turned purplish red, and he was strangled to death. The numerous demons on the city wall got goosebumps all over. Just moments ago he was calling someone baby, and now he's strangling them to death. What kind of thing is this? Baby, baby, how did you die? Wake up, what should your father use to save you? Tran Buk Vuong was stunned, then suddenly hugged the demon cultivator's corpse and burst into tears. Extremely tragic. This scene brought tears to the eyes of those who witnessed it, and heartbreak to those who heard it. If the disciples of the Asura sect on the city walls hadn't seen Chen Bixing personally strangle his baby, they wouldn't have known. Who killed my child? Chen Bixing roared, his bloodshot eyes glaring at the demon cultivators on the city walls. Then, before everyone's eyes, his figure began to overlap, splitting into another figure, identical to Chen Bixing, but a woman. The cross-dressing master, Chen Bixing. Standing beside him, they looked like husband and wife. Don't be sad, I'll give you another one, the cross-dressing Chen Bixing said reassuringly. With a bang, an old man in purple appeared at their feet. I'll kill him. The old man in purple robes, his face full of bewilderment, was a demon cultivator at the harmonious Dao realm of the Tai Yin Demon Palace. Just moments ago, he was watching the explosion from the top of the wall, fortunately not being the one being touched. In the blink of an eye, he found himself beneath the cross-dressing Chen Baiwang. He had been born? What the hell? My child! The cross-dressing Chen Baiwang wept with joy, grasping the small hand of the seemingly 70 or 80-year-old old man in purple robes, his face overflowing with affection. The cross-dressing Chen Baiwang also showed maternal love, grasping the other small hand of the old man in purple robes. Hand in hand, they looked like a happy family. Boom! The blood jade saint watched his family of 3, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably, a chilling sensation running down his spine. He finally couldn't hold back and attacked, his saintly power overwhelming, transforming into a colossal hand that pressed down on Chen Baiwang. Yi Xiangya's disciples were too bizarre, too illogical. He didn't dare imagine what would happen if things developed further. Big idiot, what do you want to do? You dare to attack your father? Chen Buwang was slightly startled, his face turning purple with anger. Immediately afterwards, more than 100 people gathered, forming an aura that enveloped Chen Buwang, causing his cultivation to skyrocket. From the early stage of Dao severing to the peak of Dao severing, just one step away from becoming a saint. Boom! Chen Buwang's figure became ethereal, as if anything could pierce through him, unable to harm him. But the opponent was ultimately a saint, and the saintly power forcefully shattered the illusion, crushing the three family members, leaving a huge handprint on the ground. Yi Xiangya's technique has some merit, but it's just a fake god and a fake ghost. Blood Jade Saint snorted coldly, speaking disdainfully. This person may practice dark arts, but in the face of absolute power, they are nothing more than a mere chicken or dog. Whether or not it was a hand that flattened him, dead beyond resurrection. But, rebellious son, rebellious son. The flattened male Chen Bixing stood up, his paper-like body swaying as if a gust of wind could blow him away. The female Chen Bixing also became a paper figure, hugging the blood-stained corpse of the old man in purple robes and wailing, "I was just born, and now I'm dead." Blood Jade Saint, these are all immortal. The Blood Jade Saint was utterly astonished, simply unable to believe his eyes. Beside him, Ni Huang was even more dumbfounded, his head spinning. He was a demon, completely unfamiliar with the Taijuan Holy Land. He couldn't understand it at all. They were all crushed into paper, yet they were still jumping around so energetically. Is there any justice in this world? Bring the whip. I want to teach this rebellious son a lesson. Chen Baiwang shouted. Then his disciples severed their own long legs and brought them forward. 2 human thighs. 3 human thighs. Over 100 human thighs were connected together, like a 100-section whip. An extremely powerful aura erupted from above, as if it could slay a saint. Boom! The human thigh whip struck towards the Blood Jade Saint, but halfway through it encountered the protective formation's light screen and directly pierced through, hitting the Blood Jade Saint's face. Really? The whip-wielding man? Even Niu Huang was stunned, his bull-like eyes trembling, as if they might pop out of their sockets at any moment. I don't believe it. I can't kill you. The Blood Jade Saint was also terrified. After so many years as a saint, this was the first time he'd been so frightened. He roared, throwing a punch, his powerful fist, imbued with the laws of water, shattering the 100-section whip. After all, he was a saint. Even the combined attack of Chen Baiwang's 100 men couldn't stop him. You rebellious son, I've raised you for so many years, and this is how you repay your father. White-eyed Wolf. The woman in the disguise, Chen Bixing, wiped away her tears, deeply saddened. Fusion. Chen Bixing roared. The next moment, 100 people merged with Chen Bixing, their eyes bursting with light, as if gathering fragments of heroes to form a single being. A gigantic, obese figure, like a mountain, piled high with fat, its eyes obscured by the flesh. Most terrifying was the mountain of flesh covering its chest, back, arms, and thighs. Chen Bixing's aura surged, reaching the half-saint level. Boom! The thick, fleshy hand struck out, piercing through the formation, through the city walls, and directly hitting the Blood Jade Saint. The latter's face changed drastically, and he was instantly sent flying. Around him, several demonic cultivators were also affected, crushed into mud by the mountain of flesh. Is this Yi Xiaoya's divine ability? What the hell? A group of demonic cultivators trembled, their scalps tingling. This image was too bizarre, and this was a saint, yet he was blown away. From ancient times to the present, there has never been any combined attack technique that could defeat a death-slaying expert, or a semi-saint might pose a threat to a saint. What exactly did that legendary demon Dao ancestor teach these people? How did they become so powerful? A demon cultivator was terrified. A frog in a well, teaching his disciples such terrifying things. One can imagine how abnormal the demon Dao ancestor must be. Not only is his combat power abnormal, but his psychology is probably even more abnormal than everyone else's. He even doubted whether Yi Xiaoya was human or a demon. Die! Chen Raoshan went berserk, directly charging into the formation. Like chopping vegetables, large numbers of demon cultivators on the city wall were either stabbed to death or trampled to death. The battle instantly became horrific. Ah! The demonic cultivators panicked, unleashing their divine abilities and activating their formations to attack and block the attack. However, no matter how hard they acted, their attacks were like striking thin air, piercing right through them. They were completely ineffective. Chen Raoshan's terrifying power left these demonic cultivators in despair. Several key points within the formation were also destroyed by Chen Raoshan, leveling the ground. Crack! The defensive formation's light screen shattered and vanished. At that moment, outside the city, Hugh Tongzi roared, "Charge in!" Yes, Zhao Zikang, already impatient, excitedly shouted, leading his subordinates to charge forward. Charge, charge, kill them all, burn them to the ground, plunder everything. Behind him, 10,000 Taijuan disciples were filled with ecstatic joy, wielding their great swords, leaping onto the city walls, and hacking at anyone they encountered. Like demons entering a village, or like the Blackie gang beautiful girls from Blackie fighting each other to the death. This scene stunned all the demon cultivators. How similar was this scene to their attack on the town? What nonsense! Good, 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 without a formation. You think you can defeat us? Demon cultivators are the true ancestors of war. The Blood Jade Saint was not frightened, but rather delighted. He was wary of those chaotic cannonballs. As long as he fought head-on, he believed that with his forces, he could completely crush the righteous sect. Currently, each of them had 10,000 men, plus those dozens of demonic beasts, enough to annihilate these Taijuan disciples. And this inexplicable mountain of flesh, though bizarre, he was confident he could suppress it. Kill, kill, kill. I've been furious for a long time. Slaughter the righteous sect. A group of demonic cultivators, like volcanoes that had been suppressed for hundreds of years, suddenly erupted, each one angrily charging forward and fiercely clashing with the Taijuan disciples. Blood magic, grant me a boost to my cultivation. Heavenly sacrifice technique, physical body strengthened. Blood-dried skulls, above. The demonic cultivators unleashed various forbidden techniques to boost their power, their cultivation levels magnified, and some even brought out cruel skull-shaped spiritual treasures. Their energy surging, the smell of fresh blood filling the air. They smeared, acting madly, as if they already envisioned the scene of these Taijuan disciples being brutally slaughtered by them. But a second later, disintegration great technique. Jia Zikang's cousin, Zhao Huaizhang, roared, his body exploding into fragments, a pile of flesh and organs like a group of soldiers attacking a demonic cultivator. All attack! A kidney kicked out, then the large intestine and small intestine, like small whips, lashed wildly at the demonic cultivator. The demonic cultivator was bewildered, completely unsure which body part to attack. Bury alive. Crying mourn. Blood coffin. Inside Lingdu City, chaos erupted in an instant, with countless tombs appearing. The massive coffin rose up, almost burying half the city. Before the tombs, the Taijuan disciples sobbed and cried. While weeping, they tore open the coffin lids and furiously smashed the tombs of the demonic cultivators inside. Red and white twin killers. Those with higher cultivation levels like Jia Zikang and Wang Li unleashed their full power, employing sacred techniques. Where did this delicious smell of food come from? A demonic cultivator suddenly sniffed, his expression slightly startled. He then looked around, witnessing a scene he would never forget, a chill running down his spine. Crowds of people in large red robes, carrying red palanquins, came from the east of the city, a dense mass stretching as far as the eye could see. At the same time, countless people in white mourning clothes, carrying coffins, came from the west of the city, a swirling white mist rising, like vengeful spirits on a journey. It could be said that half the city was celebrating, half was mourning. A low-level demon cultivator was directly driven mad by this series of scenes and fled frantically. Ha ha. Little flying staff, come on. Inside the city, 10,000 Taijuan disciples were crying, laughing, or rejoicing. This large-scale, deranged, and shocking image of a madman going berserk was enough to be etched in history. It made the demon cultivator's hair stand on end. My eyes are the ruler. A Taijuan disciple, with one eye looking at the sky and the other at the ground, suddenly drew his sword and stabbed a demon cultivator to death with a whoosh. Precise. Too precise. I give up. A red-haired man stretched out his thick, hairy hand and crushed another demon cultivator to death. Tragic. The battle had barely begun when the situation immediately tilted in one direction. These demonic cultivators couldn't even put up a fight and were instantly annihilated by a barrage of divine abilities. The saying righteousness is inferior to the demonic path had completely reversed. These Taijuan disciples had thoroughly awakened the demonic cultivators, teaching them a lesson. Is this the disciple Yi Xiao cultivated? What kind of goddamn divine abilities are these? Blood Jade Saint was utterly terrified, simply unable to believe it. Those who could come here to conquer the demonic cultivator's territory were no weaklings. After all, they were top-tier Taoist disciples, and torturing disciples from other forces to death was like torturing newcomers. But now, die, all of you! Blood Jade Saint roared. He absolutely could not allow the remaining 10,000 people to be slaughtered. Niu Huang also attacked, his face grim. Your opponent is me, the Fire Child, you damn alchemist. How can you possibly defeat us? Blood Jade Saint's face was ferocious. Boom! The Fire Child, too lazy to waste words, directly self-destructed, a mushroom cloud exploding in the air. Blood Jade Saint and Ox Wilderness were stunned, directly blown away. You! Blood Jade Saint coughed up blood, his entire body torn apart by countless bloodstains. Even the thick-skinned Ox Wilder couldn't withstand it. They glared, wanting to curse. They had never seen such a shameless fool, self-destructing the moment they met. What kind of wild path was this? The next moment, boom! The Fire Child's body regenerated, and he self-destructed again. Another mushroom cloud rose, turning Blood Jade Saint and Ox Wilder into muggles. Boom! Before the two saints could recover from their injuries, the Fire Child once again. Explosive! The orders directly inflicted serious injuries on two people. Even the Fire Child, having been blown up 3 times, was finding it difficult to withstand. His soul significantly weakened, and he couldn't help but roar, "Milk! Give me a sip of milk!" Okay. A little Taijuan lily emerged from the rear. She was in the Death-slaying realm, wielding wood elemental energy, and had cultivated a technique called Forget-Me-Not Melody along with the Spirit Treasure, the Forget-Me-Not Chariot. Thinking of Zhouquan and Yi Xiaoyao, after the burial Emperor Mountain, she researched the life force divine body of the Heavenly Master Holy Land, preparing this healing technique to prevent heavy casualties among her disciples. Boom! The sound of the zither echoed in the air above Lingdu City. The little loli sat on the small chariot playing the zither, and light rained down, causing the Fire Child's soul to rapidly solidify. Below, the 10,000 Taijuan disciples' spirits and energy instantly soared, and their injuries healed rapidly. Numbness, Blood Jade Saint, and Ox Wilderness were utterly numb with rage, wanting to slit their own throats. Looking down at the inner city, they saw that more than half of the remaining 10,000 demonic cultivators had been killed. Even the two saints couldn't defeat Fire Child. Even if I unleashed the Great Power Sacred Technique and inflicted serious injuries, what difference would it make? A single sip of milk would instantly restore my health. Despair. Helplessness. It was as if a plague had enveloped Blood Jade Saint, Ox Wasteland, and the other demonic cultivators. How could they fight? They could inflict damage, provide sustenance, and even that Chen Bat King was immune to injury. Damn it. Go! Blood Jade Saint and Ox Wasteland exchanged glances, roaring in defiance, and turned to flee. This battle was hopeless. They absolutely had to report this to the high-ranking members of the Demonic Alliance. Otherwise, in the future war between good and evil, the demonic path would surely suffer from anemia. Yi Xiaoyao's teachings had boosted the combat power of these Taijuan disciples by several levels. They were simply kings of war. Too terrifying. Run! The remaining demonic cultivators, seeing this, were completely despairing, losing all will to fight, and frantically fled outside the city. The Taijuan disciples, however, chased after them relentlessly. Follow me! The Fire Child pulled out a demon-binding rope and tied it to the little loli's body. This was a weapon discarded by Yi Xiaoyao under the Great Saint, and it was incredibly sturdy. Even self-destruction wouldn't shatter it. Then, the Fire Child unleashed the Great Emperor's technique, Madman's Decision, and swiftly pursued, while the little wet nurse tied behind him was dragged away by a rope. If Yi Xiaoyao were here, he would surely exclaim, "This is a real underworld hidden warrior killing indiscriminately. Damn your ancestors!" Blood Jade Saint cursed loudly in the distance, feeling utterly frustrated and wanting to go mad. He regretted attacking Vizhou. This Fire Child would just explode after catching up, then drag the little loli away and treat him. It was too difficult to deal with. In the end, Blood Jade Saint swallowed his resentment in the northwest, being blown to death. Niu Huang couldn't escape either, being entangled by Chen Bai Wang, and then hastily taken away by several humanoid nuclear bombs that had returned with Huo Tongzi. The Battle of Zizhou. Victory declared. Because of the existence of the Milk Goddess, the Taijuan Holy Land's spiritual power was annihilated, and the demonic Dao and the monster clan were completely wiped out. This achievement, if spread, would be enough to shake the entire Qingyuan realm, striking fear into the hearts of the demonic Dao. Never before in the ages had a war between outnumbered had resulted in such a devastating defeat. Hey, is that the Imperial Tutor? Yes, it's me, little Huo. Inside Lingdu City, Huo Tongzi watched a group of corpses being carried away and rescued a group of slaves trapped in cages. He pulled out his token and dialed Yuzia's number. Imperial Tutor. Is it the Emperor's decree that you should come and save us? A group of slaves from small righteous forces, seeing the light, wept with joy and excitement. Suddenly witnessing the bloody scene, they were deeply shaken. The Taijuan Holy Land was far more powerful than they had imagined. The demonic cultivators were completely annihilated. Looking at those Taijuan disciples who had returned to normal, their faces beaming with smiles, like the big brother next door, a feeling of familiarity naturally arose. Especially seeing Chen Baiwang, his handsome appearance made him even more radiant, earning him the favor of the smaller forces. Of course, the only regret was not seeing the legendary idol, Yi Ziao. It's him. Why don't you talk to him? Huo Tongzi handed over the token. This is a communication artifact truly worthy of being an imperial tutor. A middle-aged man trembled, hearing a young voice coming from inside. Clearly, besides that person, no one else possessed such creative power. He was restrained, too embarrassed to speak. Facing the legendary figure, everyone was nervous. Gather the remnants, let Chen Nangshuan clean up the traces. He can tell the truth, lie, and use illusions effectively to avoid the Demon Alliance's high-ranking officials from arriving and seeing the truth behind the annihilation of 30,000 demon cultivators. Now is not the time to reveal our trump cards. Yi Xiaoya's voice came from within the token. Without understanding the truth, there's no way to defend against it. Only then can we gain the greatest advantage in war at the lowest cost. Okay, I'm hanging up. I'm busy, gurgle. In the 36 provinces of Kangyuan, in Yinzhou, Yi Xiaoya stood on a block of ice and hung up the phone. Yinzhou is a glacier-shaped landmass with vast glaciers and an extremely dense concentration of yin energy, making it extremely cold. Almost all buildings are ice-covered. In the very center of this landmass is the Yin Ice City, a huge ice sphere hanging in the air, like the moon. That is the supreme Dao imperial weapon of the Yin Demon Palace, the Yin Bright Pearl. Its radiance covers the entire Silver Continent, its power shaking the 8 deserts. Any unfavorable existence will be detected and destroyed by it. Throughout the ages, with this bright pearl, this vast force has stood firm, unshakable, and no existence below the great emperor level can threaten it. What a pity! We encountered Yi Xiaoyao, this abnormal fortune-telling expert, who can even conceal the secrets of heaven, let alone this supreme Dao imperial weapon. Among the 13 demon sects, the Yin Demon Palace is the only top-tier Dao lineage that has never been defeated. This generation's Grand Palace Master is a quasi-emperor of the Ice Plains, a hero of the ancient era. Besides him, there are 3 other quasi-emperors, all very powerful. On this trip, if we are not careful, we will die here. Sin Saint watched the figures coming and going outside Ice City one after another, and said solemnly, stealing a top-tier Taoist lineage, such audacity. Such a crazy thing has never been done before. The Taiyin Demon Palace is too powerful. No one dares. Dead? Yi Xiaoya's face was expressionless. Sin Saint and the others didn't know that his current strength was invincible in the Great Saint realm, and he also controlled the great Dao of space and time. A quasi-emperor would find it impossible to kill him. He said, Sin Saint, quickly give birth to 1,000,000 children to go and scout the way. Sin Saint, I always feel you're humiliating me. The Sin Saint's expression remained unchanged as he looked at Yi Xiaoyao. Then after a moment of silence, he clasped his hands together. Yin and Yang harmonize. Soul and body intertwine, come out. As soon as he finished speaking, a strange, eerie laughter rang out. Then, amidst the many strange gazes of the great sage Shishin, the Sin Saint, like a hen laying eggs, gave birth to countless tiny figures, each no bigger than a hand, identical to the Sin Saint himself. In the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, 1,000,000 naked figures appeared in the icy, snowy landscape, densely packed, easily causing people to suffer from extreme fear. Still small, these guys are even smaller. I can't even see them. The great sage Kingland of the Sun and Moon Palace pointed at the lower halves of the tiny Sin Saints and mocked them. At least it's better than nothing. A small-footed old woman from the Heavenly Master's Holy Land let out a hen-like laugh, revealing a toothless mouth. Beside the great sage of Guisu, the sinful saint said, "The sinful saint is truly stingy. When his own child was born, he didn't even bother to prepare some clothes for them. Look at these little brats. Their faces are all pale. Get out." The sinful saint couldn't stand it anymore and angrily cursed, then waved his hand, driving away a million little children. Bang, bang, bang. A group of little figures with short legs galloped towards the ice city. Although these little figures were small, their cultivation was not weak. They were all at the spirit realm. Such a large-scale spirit realm army, throughout the ages, could only be created by Yi Xiaoyao's great emperor technique. Of course, the strength of the little figures depended on the person performing the spell. Yi Xiaoyao ignored the great sage's boring teasing, stroking 3 coins in his hand, quietly waiting. These little figures could be said to be independent individuals, somewhat skilled in magic, and concealing their whereabouts was no problem. What he needed was to gather information, learn about the layout of the Yin Demon Palace, and discover the true location of its treasure vault. In the blink of an eye, it was the second night. The ice river was even colder at night. This cold, imbued with yin energy, penetrated to the bone marrow. Not to mention ordinary people, even cultivators, would shiver and convulse. In the distance, Yi Xiaoyao saw a group of tiny figures, about the size of a hand, wearing thick cotton jackets of unknown origin, shivering as they ran from afar. Their small faces reddened from the cold. "Damn it, this Yin Demon Palace is too cold. It almost froze me to death," complained the leader of the group of figures in cotton jackets. Ice City contains an extremely concentrated yin energy. Unless one cultivates the yin law, the closer they get, the colder it becomes, and their cultivation may even stagnate. In a sense, the cultivators of the Tai Yin Demon Palace here can unleash 12/10 of their full strength. Others can only unleash 8/10. The Tai Yin Treasure Vault is located beneath the Tai Yin Demon Palace's Ice Palace. It contains glazed gold, heavenly meteorite, sacred medicines, and everything else one could need. This isn't really a secret. Even Tai Yin disciples with some cultivation know about it. The little figure in the floral robe extended his little finger, pointing to the large, moon-like ice pearl in the highest empty space above the ice city. The Tai Yin divine tree is above it, long nourished by the supreme Tao imperial weapon. It can be called a supreme treasure. Unfortunately, there's a quasi-emperor on it. What? The divine tree is above the supreme Tao imperial weapon. The great sage Shaitian's face immediately turned grim. The divine tree and the supreme Tao imperial weapon being together, how could he seize it without alerting them? It was simply impossible. But to retreat even when approaching the supreme Tao imperial weapon, it's even harder. Not to mention a quasi-emperor in seclusion above. This isn't snatching food from the tiger's mouth. It's facing death at the tiger's jaws. Just plundering the treasure vault and the divine medicine is out of the question. There's no way we can successfully plunder them. Imperial Master, what do you mean? Sinful Saint frowned, saying, "They rode their heavenly horses. Their speed was very fast. But even that speed couldn't stop a quasi-emperor wielding a great imperial weapon from instantly killing them." The great Saint Shishan was even more disappointed, laughing self-deprecatingly. "It seems there's no chance. We were too optimistic before we left." What he needed most was the Tai Yin divine tree, which was transformed from the great Tao, containing an extremely concentrated Tai Yin power, arguably the strongest treasure medicine in the world. The group fell silent, all looking at Yi Xiaoyao. "I'll go get the divine tree myself." Yi Xiaoyao's expression was indifferent, very calm. The Yin-Yang divine tree is a divine medicine not only containing the power of yin, but also the power of its own laws, albeit relatively weak. Even so, it's still far more powerful than a sacred medicine. If he could obtain it and refine a branch of the yin-yang tree, he truly believed that his life force would undoubtedly leap forward significantly. However, those who possess such laws are extremely rare. How many are worthy of his study? For safety reasons, it's better to seize it. Of course, Yi Xiaoyao also had other thoughts that he couldn't reveal to anyone. No, it's too dangerous. The great sage Shishan resolutely refused. This was too risky. Yi Xiaoyao was very strong, already an invincible great sage, but facing a quasi-emperor wielding a great emperor's weapon. Even the strongest would perish on the spot. "My mind is made up. Your further words are useless. Yishai shook his head, not mentioning that he himself possessed a Supreme Dao Emperor weapon. Just relying on his mastery of the Dao of space and time, no one in this vast Taiyan demon palace could stop him. Risk. Yishai never took risks. Without a 99% certainty, he wouldn't come. All right. The others remained silent for a moment, then responded in unison, no longer trying to dissuade him. At their level, they were all very opinionated. Persuasion was useless. They could only hope Yishai would return alive. On the Pearl of Darkness is the Jade Water Immortal, the most powerful woman of this era. Besides her, there are two ancient quasi-emperors in the deepest part of the Taiyan Demon Palace. As for their leader, the Great Palace Master, the Ice Origin Great Emperor, he is in the center of the demon realm, not here. The figure in the floral robe, familiar with the situation, continued to introduce the Jade Water Immortal, the woman whose legend says she possesses the true and false Dao. Yishai narrowed his eyes slightly, a cold smile playing on his lips. Besides the divine tree and the treasure vault, this woman was his primary objective. If possible, he wouldn't mind capturing her and studying her further. Without further thought, he sat cross-legged, tossing 3 ancient bronze coins to the ground, his eyes gleaming with a calculating light. After tossing several coins, Yishai finally felt at ease. "With you here, I suddenly feel much more at ease," the Sin Saint exclaimed, a mixture of admiration and respect in his voice. The art of divination is vast and profound. Every thought, every step, has countless directions and possibilities. This level of calculation alone is beyond the capabilities of ordinary people. Follow my plan. Let's get started. After seizing the treasure vault, run. Don't worry about me. Yishai explained the plan once. Without further ado, he directly stepped forward, his figure disappearing in an instant. Don't worry. He's confident. Just trust him. The great sage Shishin spoke. The others fell silent, sighing softly, only able to hope they could share the pressure on Yishai. Afterward, a group of great sages quickly concealed their movements and headed towards Ice City. Meanwhile, in the Taiyan Demon Palace, within the Demon Hall, it was like an emperor's court session, with many high-ranking Demon Palace officials gathered. There were over 100 great sages and saint kings, and even 3 quasi-emperors seated at the highest point, exuding an aura of majesty. The atmosphere was heavy, everyone's faces grim, and they remained silent. Just moments ago, news had arrived from the scouts in Zizhou. The Blood Jade Saint led 30,000 demonic cultivators, followed by a horde of demonic beasts, and their entire army was annihilated. The entire city of Lingdu was stained red with blood, the air thick with the scent of gore. Among the demonic cultivators were members of the Taiyan Demonic Palace. As members of the Demonic Alliance, the Taiyan Demonic Palace couldn't possibly remain inactive. They had initially thought that the great victory after conquering the city was a good sign, but unexpectedly, news of their complete annihilation arrived within a few days. That was bad enough. The crucial point was that the scouts reported that 10,000 Taixuan disciples who attacked Lingdu City couldn't find any bodies or traces of death. Who can tell me why the Taixuan disciples died? Why? The face of the ancient hero, the Taiyan ancestor, darkened, his voice cold and clearly furious. There is no precedent for this kind of war in ancient and modern times. The meaning behind the spirit incense is too great, making it hard for people to believe. Could it be a high-level cultivator from the righteous path who made the move? Otherwise, it's impossible for them to wipe out our 30,000-strong demonic path army with just those 10,000 people. I don't trust their fighting strength, one of the great saints said coldly. That's right, the disciples of the righteous path are usually weak, not as strong as our demonic path cultivators. How could 10,000 be a match for 30,000? Not to mention the spirit spear. It must have been a high-level cultivator who made the move. Even if they killed tens of thousands of pigs, at least a few would have been killed. Not one died. How is that possible? The others nodded in agreement, as there was no other explanation. It has been verified that the energy flow there is chaotic and disturbed, but it can be proven that there are only 3 saints, 1 fire child, and 2 others, Blood Jade and Ox Wilderness. Grandmother Zhuanyin's expression grew even more somber. Ah, this. The faces of the other saints stiffened slightly, filled with shock. They glanced at each other, all in disbelief. In their opinion, Only a saint king could have committed such a massacre. Otherwise, it made no sense. Could it be that those people were possessed by a ghost? Our Taiyan Demon Palace doesn't need to send anyone here recently. We'll wait for news from the Demon Alliance. This matter must be clarified. Grandmother Zhuanyan frowned. The righteous and demonic sides haven't had a large-scale battle in a long time, and neither side knows their trump cards. Those 30,000 people were just scouts. He didn't want the Taiyan Demon Palace's disciples to be inexplicably massacred. I heard people say that the top great saints of the Righteous Path Alliance disappeared a few days ago, and no one knows where they went. Seated high above, a beautiful woman in her 30s, dressed in palace attire, had her hair tied back, her phoenix eyes sparkling, her demeanor mature, alluring, and seductive. Like a beautiful widow next door, this was the Jade Water Immortal, a quasi-emperor of her generation, a contemporary of the Taizhuan Eternal Life ancestor, exceptionally beautiful and renowned in both the righteous and demonic paths. Many pursued her, but unfortunately, no one had been able to capture her heart, and she possessed the true power of the false emperor. Her combat power among quasi-emperors was unparalleled. If it weren't for her aversion to meddling, the head of the Taiyan Demon Palace wouldn't be the Ice Plains quasi-emperor, the Zhuanyan ancestor, but her. So many people disappeared. Could they be planning to attack the Heavenly Demon sect again? A great saint asked in surprise. Now, the only thing that could cause the Righteous Path to take it so seriously is the ancient demon who is about to achieve enlightenment and become an emperor. If they were to intercept his enlightenment and cause him to fail, the Righteous Path would truly have a chance to turn the tables. In fact, throughout the ages, those who have attained the great emperor realm have all been thwarted and thwarted, many failing and dying unexpectedly as a result. What does that have to do with us? Attacking the Heavenly Demon sect is one thing, but attacking my Taiyan Demon Palace is another. Another great saint scoffed disdainfully. The ancient demon's attainment of the great emperor realm holds both advantages and disadvantages for those present. The advantage is that the demonic path has a great emperor. The disadvantage is that the ancient demon's attainment will inevitably lead them to covet other demonic forces and try to subdue them. My Taiyan Demon Palace is far from the Righteous Path Alliance, and we have the Supreme Tao Imperial Weapon, the Mingzhu, guarding the entire Silver Continent. Unless they're fools, they wouldn't dare trespass. The group chuckled. The Pearl of Darkness possesses unparalleled power in the universe. Any hidden movements or schemes will awaken its spirit. Many righteous quasi-emperors have attempted to assassinate the Taiyan saint, but all have been trapped and perished. Furthermore, behind the Taiyan Demon Palace lies the Dark Forbidden Zone, the 9 Yin Mountains. Even great emperors would have to think twice before invading. These matters need no further discussion. Everyone withdraw. Grandmother Zhuanyan said calmly, unconcerned. He had no intention of attacking their Taiyan sect. Regarding the Demon Ming affairs, there's no need to discuss them with me. I have no interest in this war. Fairy Bai Shui chuckled softly, gracefully departing, leaving behind only a fragrant breeze. Grandmother Zhuanyan lingered, staring at Fairy Bai Shui's elegant figure, his eyes filled with greed and helplessness. Greedily, this Jade Water Immortal, who looked like a beautiful widow with a seductive and alluring charm, was still a virgin, her primordial essence unbroken, and her cultivation was earth-shattering. If he were to use dual cultivation techniques to seize her primordial essence, he might have a chance of breaking through to the great emperor realm. Unfortunately, this woman's personality was like jade water, calm and indifferent. She had no intention of finding a partner, and as for using force, throughout history, those who possessed the true and false Tao of quasi-emperors were unimaginably powerful. Among the 12 demonic sects, with so many quasi-emperors, no one was confident they could surpass her. Otherwise, they would have long been forcibly taken by the Overlord. Since recovering from his immortal essence, Ancestor Zhuanyan had been pursuing her, but he had ignored her. I'll take you down sooner or later. Ancestor Zhuanyan's eyes flickered, his greed deepening. As a former subordinate of the Great Yin Emperor, he possessed many tricks up his sleeve. While they were discussing, the Sin Saint and the Heavenly Saint had already unleashed Yi Xiaoyao's Night Ghost's Journey technique, a heavenly gang technique, the highest level of concealment, capable of hiding heavenly secrets and formations unique to this one sect. Silently, 20 top-tier great saints of the righteous path approached the core treasure vault of the Taiyan Demon Palace. Basically, all major forces established treasure vaults to store many rare treasures, rather than keeping them in the storage bags or small worlds within the bodies of powerful figures. This prevents monopolization, reckless spending, or betrayal, which would result in immeasurable losses. Meanwhile, Yi Xiao had already arrived above the Mingju. With this kind of emperor-level aura, the Night Ghost's journey technique was useless, but fortunately, the Nine-Left Phoenix tablet concealed the aura, preventing the spirit within the Mingju from being disturbed. Ka. Little Yi, this spirit is a girl. A girl? Yi Xiao stood on the white jade ground, with a series of palaces in front of him. Just as he was about to take his next step, the excited cawing of a crow rang in his ears. What do you mean? Yi Xiao's eyelids twitched, suddenly having a bad feeling. He could tell fortunes, but he couldn't tell fortunes from crows. This was a celestial artifact. The elegant and noble divine crow needs a life partner, and to be worthy of this divine crow, at least it must be a supreme Tao imperial weapon spirit. The imperial weapons of the 9 great sacred lands are all foolish old masters, not worth a smile. Now, I finally see a woman. And it's a green phoenix. Do you understand green phoenix? It's that kind of bird with very long legs, all green, with delicate features and beautiful eyes. Do you understand? The crow perched on Yi Xiao's shoulder, excitedly describing it to him. The matter is settled. It's up to you. Now, calm down a bit. Yi Xiao's mouth twitched. What kind of despicable bird is this? Now it's trying to get horny for me. With my crow's charm, that Xingfeng will definitely be smitten and fall into an uncontrollable sea of love. Then we'll even take the Taiyan divine tree and the Mingju together. Wouldn't that be delicious? The black crow with black wings patted its small chest, guaranteeing, then excitedly disappeared. Damn it. That guy down there. He's so damn unreliable. Yi Xiao's face turned dark, and he couldn't help but curse. He wasn't nervous before, but now he was really anxious. God only knows what kind of commotion this thing will cause. If this crow manages to force Xingfeng into bed, he'll probably be chased and killed like crazy. I must get this guy to make a move first. Take hold of the divine tree. Yi Xiao felt a sense of urgency. After entering the palace complex, he continuously deduced the location of the Taiyan divine medicine. He wasn't afraid of the quasi-emperor, but being discovered early and still trying to steal the divine medicine was almost impossible. A layer of mist enveloped Yi Xiao's body, obscuring his figure, as if he were invisible, allowing him to move through the palace complex. Such a vast Mingju, like the Sky City, yet it only has 10 maidens. Yi Xiao couldn't help but marvel. This place was an excellent cultivation ground for the Yin-Yang realm, yet it was occupied by the Jade Water Immortal, preventing even the Ice Plains quasi-emperors and the profound Yin ancestor from setting foot here. This shows just how powerful the Jade Water Immortal truly was. Continuing forward, after about half an incense stick's time, Yi Xiao passed through dozens of ice palaces and entered the deepest part of the ice palace. This should be it. Yi Xiao looked up at this ice palace, which resembled a royal palace, his eyes flashing. There was a protective formation outside the ice palace, but his current mastery of formations was far superior to before. Combined with his divination skills, he found a loophole in just a few breaths. He slipped through the formation and entered the ice palace. Advancing forward, breaking through the formation, they finally stopped in front of a building resembling a glass-like ice pavilion. This ice pavilion was extremely peculiar, its exterior enveloped in a powerful emperor-level formation. Outside the Jade Pavilion, 2 female guards stood on either side, chatting idly. Lord Bai Shui is bathing, repeatedly instructing us not to let Ancestor Zhuan Yin disturb her. At this moment, a maid came out from inside the pavilion, carrying a jade tray, and after instructing the 2 women, hurried away. It's Ancestor Zhuan Yin again, truly relentless. Lord Bai Shui is helpless. Lord Bai Shui is as beautiful as a celestial being. How could this old man Ancestor Zhuan Yin be concerned? He doesn't even look at his own character. After the maid left, the 2 female guards discussed amongst themselves, criticizing the dignified quasi-emperor for his lack of restraint. As the personal female guards of Lady Big 3, with their lord as their backer, they weren't afraid of Ancestor Hyanum. However, they didn't notice that 10 yards in front of them, another figure was present. Bathing? Yi Xiao stood in front of the jade pavilion, frowning. That woman, who looked like a deceased person, was already a quasi-emperor and still needed to bathe. But he quickly understood, hearing one of the women inside defend her. Every time Lady p13 bathes naked in the yin water, he comes to harass her during her cultivation. He's really despicable. Evidently, Ancestor Hyeon was considered very lowly in their eyes. They had prevented such things many times. So that's it. What a luxury! Bathing in yin water and cultivating for a long time, even an ordinary cultivator could sooner or later reach the saint realm. Yi Xiao suddenly had an epiphany and was filled with even more admiration. The yin water, the yin divine medicine, is the life-giving divine water. Having long taken root there, they nourish each other, and gradually, the life-giving divine water has become the most powerful pool for cultivating the yin Dao. Taking a bath, Yi Xiao indicated he didn't want to see naked, so he went straight ahead, continuously observing the Great Emperor formation, examining its weakest points. After a moment, he went to the window on the second floor of the ice tower, waited a few seconds, turned around and glanced out, a cold smile playing on his lips. With a flick of his finger, a layer of ripples appeared, and he instantly transformed into a mosquito and slipped inside. And just as Yi Xiao entered the ice tower on the third floor, within a pool of icy divine water several tens of meters deep, the Jade Water Immortal was sitting cross-legged. Her skin fair and smooth. Before her was the resplendent yin divine tree. Her eyebrows furrowed, and she looked suspiciously towards the fluctuating formation, but saw no abnormalities. That's the weakest point of the Great Emperor formation. It's not suitable. The Jade Water Immortal suddenly unleashed her cultivation, a surge of overwhelming divine consciousness enveloping the entire ice tower, meticulously searching inch by inch. At her level, she didn't believe in coincidences. If the formation was fluctuating, someone must have tampered with it. But at this moment, she suddenly flinched, her beautiful face instantly turning icy cold. Before she finished searching the ice tower, she suddenly discovered a figure of an old man hidden in the void 100 yards outside. Is he trying to probe the Great Emperor formation? Her beautiful face grew even colder, an overwhelming aura of power pressing down. Get out! Her voice was clear and pleasant, but it revealed an overwhelming killing intent, as if she were truly enraged. Grandmother Zhuan had some ideas, but he didn't expect to be scolded so harshly upon arrival, even though he hadn't done anything. This Great Emperor formation is really troublesome. Grandmother Zhuan cursed inwardly and left awkwardly. Originally, he wanted to target the Ice Tower Master. He only needed to take advantage of the fact that Fairy Baishu was out, find a loophole, enter the Great Emperor formation, and place the powder of the harmonious Yin Divine Elixir in the Tai Yin water. If Fairy Baishu cultivated, she would inevitably be poisoned by the aphrodisiac, and would surely die. The harmonious Yin Divine Elixir is the strongest divine elixir of the Yin-Yang harmony path. Consuming it during dual cultivation greatly increases cultivation, but if not, it is basically fatal. Even a quasi-emperor couldn't withstand it. Humph! Fairy Baishu snorted coldly, no longer concerned, and continued her cultivation. She was not far from the Great Emperor realm. Her 9 laws were perfected, only lacking the unification and unity. With the help of the Tai Yin Divine Elixir, there is hope of attaining enlightenment. It wasn't about wanting to dominate the world, but rather self-defense. Female quasi-emperors are extremely rare, and the more virgins they are, the more intact their yin energy is. She was well aware of her attractiveness to quasi-emperors, and even gods and demons. She didn't want to become a plaything for gods and demons after the dark turmoil. Tisk, Ancestor Zhuan Yin really did lend me a hand. Yi Xiao transformed into a buzzing mosquito, silently giving Ancestor Zhuan Yin a thumbs up. Without Ancestor Zhuan Yin diverting his attention, he would probably have been discovered by Fairy Baishu by now. His concealment techniques were stronger, and he had the help of immortal energy, but Fairy Baishu was ultimately a quasi-emperor. She wasn't so easy to deceive. Yi Xiao flapped his wings and flew to the 3rd floor, immediately witnessing a scene of alluring beauty. At this moment, a mature and seductive young woman, capable of captivating both young and old, sat cross-legged in the clear water of the lake. The pond shimmered with a brilliant light, But the delicate figure of Ling Lung, like Duan Kang, was even more dazzling. Her skin was supple and elastic, her black hair flowing like green, her face exquisite, her neck like a swan's, her stomach flat and slender, suddenly tapering downwards, revealing a gracefully curved waist. Her buttocks were full and round, her thighs long and slender, as if sculpted by a master craftsman. Wow! This size, at least. Yi Xiaoyao was utterly shocked by the sheer beauty of the woman. This was the most exaggerated figure he had ever seen. Feng Queer was delicate and charming, pure and innocent, like a loli. Yaji possessed every kind of temperament, like a vixen like Daji. But the woman before him was like a ripe peach, its sweetness captivating. In an instant, a jumble of film clips flashed through his mind like a courier, a plumber, a deceased husband, and various other characters, along with little Mori, tomorrow's Monkey King, the wild and beautiful teacher. Using this to test cadres, Yi Xiaoyao felt a little unsettled, immediately reciting the great compassion mantra. Be careful, be even more careful. I must directly steal the Taiyin divine tree and escape from here. But a second later, the beautiful young woman's long eyelashes trembled, and she opened her eyes. Her autumnal eyes seemed to ripple like a spring lake. She sighed, muttering, still not enough, the 9-9 unity, too difficult. Suddenly, she stared blankly at the mosquito beside the pond. Their eyes met. The atmosphere was incredibly quiet for a moment. Who are you? The beautiful young woman's face, exquisitely charming, showed anger, blushing intensely, making her ripe peach-like breasts even more alluring. She quickly put on a long pink dress, concealing her exaggerated figure, and slowly rose from the lake water, like a lotus emerging from the water. Beautiful lady, quite a figure. The mosquito transformed into Yi Xiaoyao's appearance. He chuckled softly, scrutinizing this dead person. You! The beautiful young woman's face flushed crimson, unable to maintain her composure. She was a quasi-emperor, a revered figure. For countless years, no one had ever seen her body, let alone dared to trifle with her like this. And in the instant she lost her composure, Yi Xiaoyao directly attacked, grabbing at the divine tree in the void. Space? Boom! The space around the divine tree twisted, instantly disappearing and reappearing in Yi Xiaoyao's hand. The way of space. A great saint's cultivation level. The beautiful young woman's expression changed, staring at Yi Xiaoyao and suddenly saying, endless vitality, yet your bone spirit is only 20. Are you Yi Xiaoyao? She was very shocked and couldn't believe it. There was only one great saint in the world who was under 20, and that was Yi Xiaoyao. She never imagined that this most important figure of the righteous path would dare to single-handedly storm the Taiyin demon palace to steal the divine medicine. Just a great saint, yet you're so incredibly bold. Aren't you afraid of coming in, but not returning? The Jade Water Immortal was furious. With a wave of her pink sleeve, a loud bang resounded, and two massive mountains appeared out of nowhere, suddenly pressing down on Yi Xiaoyao. A powerful pressure almost shattered the void, and the entire ice tower was directly crushed by the mountains. This scene also directly startled the two female guards outside. Someone's here. Attack Lord Bic 3? The female guard was stunned, as if she had seen wrongly. Even a quasi-emperor couldn't possibly enter the ice tower so silently. Looking closely, she saw a handsome young man standing there with his hands clasped behind his back. Beautiful lady, you can't kill me. Yi Xiaoyao laughed heartily, pointing his right hand at the two large mountains. The mountains suddenly trembled, as if time had stopped. Suddenly, his figure flashed, directly gliding through the gaps in the great emperor's formation, fleeing rapidly into the distance. Each step he took seemed to transcend time and space, moving with terrifying speed. Time, space. This man actually possesses two types of laws. The Jade Water Immortal was astonished. Holding one type in her palm was already an extraordinary feat, unprecedented in history, let alone simultaneously possessing two. Boom! At this moment, the moon pearl beneath her feet trembled, a surge of imperial power suppressing the 8 desserts. Its spirit enraged. Damn! It's just a few intimate encounters. What's the big deal? It's an honor for you that I, the Divine Crow, have been intimate with you. You should be happy. A pitch-black crow flew out, swiftly fleeing towards Yi Xiaoyao. The enormous moon pearl chased after it relentlessly. From the ground, this moon pearl, which had silently resided in the Taiyan Demon Palace for countless years, had vanished. What happened? What's going on? In Ice City, countless demon cultivators looked up at the scene in the sky, utterly bewildered. This Pearl of Light is a supreme Dao Imperial weapon. Everyone knows that even when a Quasi-Emperor invaded, this Imperial weapon never showed such fury. What's going on? Grandmother Zhuanyan chased after her first, standing atop the Pearl of Light, his face grim as he looked at the pursuing Jade Water Immortal and asked the female guard beside him. Reporting to grandmother, just as you left. Someone infiltrated the ice tower. The female guard trembled, stammering in reply. What? Grandmother Zhuanyan was stunned, then suddenly enraged. His face so grim it looked like it was about to drip water. He had been eyeing Jade Water Immortal for so long, and before he could even get her, someone had gotten there first. He knew the intruder was definitely after Jade Water Immortal. You want to die? He was about to pursue them, but at that moment, he suddenly turned around, his expression changing. The tranquil Taiyan Demon Palace was instantly engulfed in a massive explosion, and 20 figures shot out from the direction of the treasure vault, fleeing frantically towards the outside. Each aura was incredibly powerful. All of them peak great saints. Chase them. Reclaim the treasure vault. These beasts, they dare to rob my Taiyan Demon Palace, they'll die. A group of Taiyan Demon Palace great saints pursued from behind, their anger reaching its peak. For the first time, the mighty Taiyan Demon Palace had been robbed, and successfully so. Which demonic force is behind this? Grandmother Zhuanyan's rage intensified. Like a volcanic eruption, his terrifying aura suppressing the two female guards, causing them to tremble and kneel on the ground. Robbing the treasure vault, stealing divine medicine, stealing the Jade Water Immortal, and hearing the furious reaction of the Imperial weapons spirited was clear they had all been toyed with. Such a crazy thing, apart from other demonic forces, he couldn't think of anyone else. It's the Righteous Path Alliance, the Sinful Saint, the Great Sage of Heaven, and leading them is Yi Xiaoyao, the figure that Baishu Immortal Fairy was chasing. I saw him at the Burial Emperor Mountain. A figure emerged from the depths of the Taiyan Demon Palace, rushing forward, his voice as loud as a bell. It was the last Quasi-Emperor, Taiyan Li Huang. What? The entire Taiyan Demon Palace was astonished. The events unfolded too quickly, and they didn't understand the identity of the newcomer. It was the Righteous Path Alliance, but how could this be? When did those righteous cultivators become so arrogant? And they were led by Yi Xiaoyao. Yi Xiaoyao! That scoundrel! Zhuanyan ancestors' face turned pale. The Righteous Path Alliance had always been suppressed by the demonic path, and now they were riding roughshod over his Taiyan Demon Palace. This was outrageous. His grandfather, the Eternal Life Ancestor, didn't even follow. In other words, only these great saints are here. This is suicidal. 3 Quasi-Emperors join forces and kill Yi Xiaoyao first. Emperor Li, clad in a dragon robe, his eyes gleaming with malice, declared. This was a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity to kill Yi Xiaoyao. He didn't believe that 3 Quasi-Emperors couldn't kill this guy. Want to, King. You lead 40 great saints to chase after them and kill the Sin Saints. Grandmother Zhuanyan's expression was grim as he directly followed Emperor Li in pursuit of Yi Xiaoyao. As for the Sin Saints, he didn't even consider them a threat. The Taiyan Demon Palace wasn't so easy to enter. With their numerous great saints, they could easily wipe them out, leaving no one alive. Yes, a middle-aged man shouted, his killing intent soaring, leading many great saints in direct pursuit. In Yindou, possessing the power of the yin, their speed was unprecedented. They caught up in no time. Sin Saint, you have quite the audacity to plunder my Yin Demon Palace. Even if an emperor were to come today, you would still die. The king's eyes were icy cold. He was a peak great saint of the Yin Demon Palace, having known the Sin Saints since the ancient era. He wasn't confident in killing him elsewhere, but in Yinzhou, he was 90% certain. Surround them! Another peak great saint roared. Join forces and unleash the Yin Demon Kingdom's Emperor technique, sweeping them all away. Those with the audacity to rob should prepare for a miserable death. The remaining great saints also sneered, as if they could already see the scene of the Righteous Path losing 20 peak great saints and then suffering agonizing regrets. They all simultaneously took action, forming hand seals. Following a powerful seal, an endless, vast demonic kingdom appeared, overlapping with space, trapping the 20 great saints of the Righteous Path Alliance. Each demonic kingdom was unleashed, infinitely overlapping. This Yin demonic kingdom's imperial technique inherited the heaven-defying divine ability of the Western lens, the Buddha kingdom in the palm. It was the most powerful encirclement and killing technique in the world. Kill us? It's not that easy. The sinful saint laughed heartily. Having ceased the tribulation one, he could be said to have a bountiful harvest. The Yin demonic palace's resources were too abundant. Thousands of sacred herbs and countless other powerful medicines, enough to elevate the entire Righteous Path Alliance's power. Is that so? The King of Desire scoffed disdainfully. No sooner had he finished speaking than his face stiffened, his expression a mixture of shock and disbelief. He saw. Each of these tiny beings was born from the 20 great saints. Their sheer numbers were overwhelming, causing those who saw them to feel a dense, terrifying fear. Approximately 2 billion. In an instant, the entire demon kingdom was crushed. That's right, Shen is broken. It seems the demon kingdom can't withstand such a large force. Of course, it's also because this imperial technique was cultivated incorrectly. Cackle, cackle, cackle. Little thief, accept your death. Dare to lay hands on me, what do you think you are? You! A swarm of insignificant beings shrieked, their voices piercing the eardrums. As soon as they emerged from the demon kingdom, they charged towards the king and his entourage, a massive, overwhelming force, almost occupying the entire world. From afar, they resembled carp crossing a river. Even the Sin Saint and the great sage of heaven's true forms were invisible. What kind of divine power is this? A great sage trembled, his scalp tingling. He was a being who had lived for 4,000 years, having seen countless divine powers. But this kind of power creating 2 billion babies in one go he had truly never seen before. It was utterly abnormal, an abnormally open door, an abnormally welcoming arrival. This is an emperor's technique. I sense the aura of an emperor's technique, but this emperor's technique is rather sinister. Another great sage spoke, his face grim. A thought suddenly arose in his mind, but he quickly suppressed it with a look of astonishment. Impossible. That's the great emperor's technique. How could that guy, not even 20 years old, have created it? And that guy hasn't even become an emperor yet. It wasn't him. Who created this legendary, monstrous divine ability? Die! The king roared, shaking the supreme holy light, his fist tearing apart over 1,000 little figures. Can't withstand a single blow. He said contemptuously, these little figures were very weak, the highest being only at the Tao integration realm. Crack! A bolt of yin lightning exploded, killing another large number of little figures. A middle-aged man holding a modern cleaver, his whole body enveloped in lightning, said coldly, not taking these little figures seriously. To them, those below the saint level were just ants. 2 billion little figures were just a matter of a little effort. This was arguably the weakest great emperor's technique he had ever seen. However, very quickly, the cruel reality taught them a lesson. Damn it, is there no justice? I kill 10,000 of them, and you immediately give birth to 100,000 more. The Thunder Great Saint swung his massive saber, smoke billowing from it as he killed one group after another, unable to restrain himself from cursing loudly. He was very strong, a peak great saint. Killing these insignificant beings was as easy as slicing melons and chopping vegetables. But the faster he killed, the faster the Sin Saints reproduced. After burning half an incense stick, the number of these 2 billion insignificant figures not only didn't decrease, but actually increased. The 40 great saints of the Tai-Yin Demon Palace were stunned. They felt that even 500 years wouldn't be enough to kill them all. They simply couldn't survive without killing these insignificant figures. Even their divine senses and eyesight were blocked, preventing them from pinpointing the exact location of the Sin Saints. I'm tired, destroy them. After burning an incense stick, the king unleashed his fists numb, his expression weary, yet filled with resentment and anger. He even felt like vomiting. This thing had no power, but it was utterly disgusting, arguably the most nauseating great emperor technique in history. You trash, come and kill me. Useless, you can't even kill me. You're all a bunch of useless fools. If I were you, I would have long since committed suicide by disembowelment, with no face to linger in this world. You old bastard are a thief. You old thief deserve to die. The two little men were not only skilled in physical attacks, but also in body-to-body attacks, like a tidal wave crashing down, enraging the other great saints of the Taiyin Demon Palace. They were furious, but powerless to stop them all. "I can't stand it anymore." The Thunder Great Saint roared, employing his escape technique, transforming into a bolt of lightning, streaking through the void, and killing his way to tens of thousands of miles away. However, even tens of thousands of miles away, there was still a group of little men. The Thunder Great Saint immediately started vomiting. He was disgusted by the sight. "Damn it, how come there are so many people? Quick! Quick! Surround and kill these despicable villains!" A loud shout rang out, causing the great saints of the Taiyin Demon Palace to rejoice. Reinforcements arrived. The Taiyin Demon Palace had many saints, and they believed their killing speed could match the speed at which the Sin Saint and the heaven-shattering Great Saint gave birth. However, just as they had killed 2 billion despicable villains, the expressions of over 100 saints changed again. They saw the Sin Saint sitting on a bronze coffin in the distance, bound by 9 bronze chains, while 9 dogs at the very front were pulling the coffin, charging forward like a beam of light. Their speed unmatched, like a husky pulling a sled. "Farewell, everyone!" The heaven-shattering Great Saint laughed wildly, extremely fortunate that he had produced Yi Xiao, who had created these two absolutely powerful divine abilities. Otherwise, he would have truly been surrounded and killed by these people. After saying that, he sat on the coffin, waving his small hand in joyful exuberance. The whip cracked with a loud crack, towards the direction of happiness. "Let's go!" "Go!" The great sage Thinlan and several others also chimed in, laughing heartily, each sitting in a bronze coffin, quickly fleeing towards the outside of Silver Continent. "This is a great Emperor's speed technique. How is this possible? How could the Righteous Path Alliance possess such a divine ability? And it's 9 dogs pulling a coffin." The great sage Lei Ting's eyes widened, feeling a powerful shock to his worldview, questioning his existence. He possessed the Thunder Dao Lian Dao Law, and his speed was top tier among those of the same level. Yet even his strongest escape technique couldn't keep up with 9 dogs. "I'm being pursued by 40 great sages, but I'm not panicking, because my horse is faster than them." Horse shattering the sky. "Charge!" The great sage Qinglan sat upright on the coffin, calm and composed. "I'll kill you, you cow family patriarch." The Mad King chased after him, but the further he chased, the greater the distance between them. He was furious, and on the spot, he took off his shoe and threw it in the direction the other party was fleeing. His heart was bleeding. This was the treasure accumulated by the Taiyin Demon Palace over countless years, and now it had all been stolen. What do I do now? This kind of evil emperor technique, we simply can't catch up. Inside, a Demon Palace great saint's face turned pale. He couldn't imagine that not only had they failed to reclaim the treasure, but the entire Righteous Path Alliance had escaped. How are they going to explain this to the Juanyan ancestor and the Ice Plain Quasi-Emperor? This kind of incredibly fast emperor technique, and more than 20 people have all successfully cultivated it. This is not right. The Thunder Great Saint's expression was uncertain. This robbery sent a bad signal. Emperor techniques are so difficult to cultivate, let alone achieve mastery. Yet the Sin Saints have all achieved success. This is clearly abnormal. Yi Xiaoyao's method is undoubtedly the easiest to cultivate in this world. I just didn't expect him to be able to create an emperor technique. Besides, cultivating the great emperor's techniques is so simple. Wanting to suppress his anger, the king calmly analyzed the situation. He had heard legends about Yi Xiaoyao, who created countless techniques and cultivated them simply. He had previously thought it was a case of where there's smoke, there's fire, but now he was completely convinced it was true. What? The other great saints were utterly shocked. Not a great emperor, yet he could create great emperor's techniques? To techniques at that, to what extent was Yi Xiaoyao defying the heavens? Immediately report to Ancestor Zhuan Yan. Have the Quasi-Emperors take action to assassinate the sinful saints. Otherwise, our losses will be too great. Lei Ting Great Saint immediately said, this incident would undoubtedly amplify the strength of the righteous path, and the Taiyin Demon Palace would certainly be etched into the historical pillar of shame for the demonic path. A top-tier Taoist sect, yet robbed by a group of great saints, and they escaped unscathed. It would be laughable. At this moment, The Juanyan ancestor was also completely stunned, because Yi Xiaoyao's speed was even more exaggerated, running faster than a rabbit. Pervert! Do you dare to fight? The pink-robed fairy Fei Yang, the Jade Water Immortal, chased after Yi Xiaoyao, her beautiful face filled with murderous intent, her eyes practically spitting fire. As the strongest expert in the Taiyan Demon Palace, she had been in charge of the Mingju for many years and quickly learned from the spirit what that damn black crow had been doing to Yi Xiaoyao. He had actually taken advantage of Qingfeng's sleep to lay hands on him. A spirit, almost losing his virginity, had provoked Qingfeng's anger. And Yi Xiaoyao, the Black Crow's master, was also a pervert, not only having seen her body but also ogling her. Fight? What are you? Fighting in bed? With your physique, perhaps you could compete with me. Yi Xiaoyao sat atop a bronze coffin with over 100 dogs pulling it, speeding forward. Yi Xiaoyao dodged aside, turning his head to laugh loudly. His gaze lingered on Bai Shui's exaggerated figure. He chuckled incessantly, his eyes filled with an eerie clarity and calmness. You! Bai Shui Immortal's beautiful face flushed crimson, her anger almost driving her mad, and she chased after him with all her might. Behind her, Grandmother Zhuanyan was already stunned, as if struck by lightning, his whole body trembling. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Grandmother Zhuanyan was furious. The woman he had always longed for had actually been violated by Yi Xiaoyao. What exactly happened in the ice tower after he left? I want you dead. 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 He was enraged, unleashing a powerful escape technique, pursuing frantically. Grandmother Zhuanyan swore in his heart that if he didn't kill Yi Xiaoyao, he wouldn't be a human being for the rest of his life. Only Le Huang, unaffected by the grudges and resentments, remained relatively calm. What kind of emperor-level technique is this guy cultivating? His speed is incredibly terrifying. Even a quasi-emperor can't keep up with him. Le Huang watched the more than 100 dogs pulling the coffin, his heart trembling with disbelief. A quasi-emperor could easily kill a great saint simply by raising their hand, without even a chance to escape. Throughout eternity, no one had ever escaped from a quasi-emperor's grasp, even those who cultivated emperor-level techniques. But Yi Xiaoyao clearly defied all logic. His speed was too fast, like a beam of light. Something's not right, very wrong. Le Huang felt increasingly uneasy as he chased after them. Their speed was incredibly fast. In a mere half-hour, they had already left the Silver Continent and entered the neighboring region. The region of Cashou, home to the 12 demon sects and the Deep Abyss Demon Palace, was shaken by several immense auras descending upon it, shaking the heavens and earth, instantly alarming the Deep Abyss Demon Palace. 3 Taiyan, what do you intend to do by entering Cashou? A resounding voice boomed from a chasm thousands of feet deep, filled with terror, the sound waves sweeping across the entire region like a tidal wave. Among the demon sects, territoriality was extremely important, especially at the quasi-emperor level. Reckless invasion could easily lead to a life-or-death battle between the two major demon sects. Brother Abyss, please take action and quickly stop Yi Xiaoyao. Grandmother Zhuanyan shouted, his eyes bloodshot. What? Yi Xiaoyao? The vast chasm instantly erupted, countless terrified gazes fixed on the rapidly approaching figure in white, simply unable to believe what they were seeing. Yi Xiaoyao is the Grand Master of the Righteous Path. His status is extremely revered, and he can be said to be the hope of the Righteous Path. Anyone could appear here, but only he is not. Unless the Righteous Path isn't foolish, they wouldn't let Yi Xiaoyao take such a risk. Yet, he's here again and again. How could this not shock people? What exactly did Yi Xiaoyao do? How could the 3 quasi-emperors of the Taiyan Demon Palace pursue him like this? The Jade Water Immortal and the Profoundian Ancestor are almost driven mad with anger. Didn't you see? What did he do? Inside the Abyss Demon Palace, many great saints were discussing loudly, feeling bewildered. Their eyesight was extremely sharp, and they could see the Jade Water Immortal and the Profoundian Ancestor chasing Yi Xiaoyao from thousands of miles away, filled with rage. What made people even more terrified was that Yi Xiaoyao's speed was so incredible that even the 3 great quasi-emperors couldn't catch up. It was like over 100 dogs pulling a coffin, incredibly exaggerated. Then they saw another pack of dogs pulling a coffin, frantically fleeing along the border of the continent. These were other great saints from the Righteous Path Alliance. Several members of the Abyssal Demon Palace even recognized some old acquaintances. The Sinful Saint, the heaven-shattering Great Saint Qinglan, Yue Guang, they're all from the Righteous Path Alliance. And those people all came from Silver Continent? What exactly happened? The Demon Palace was in an uproar, completely losing its composure. Yi Xiaoyao's appearance was already unbelievable. But now there were 20 peak Great Saints from the Righteous Path Alliance, an absolutely earth-shattering event. While you're in the Righteous Path Alliance, you might still have a chance to live. But once you leave, Yi Xiaoyao, how many days can you survive? Block the attack on Yi Xiaoyao and the Great Sage of the Righteous Path Alliance. The Demon Palace Grand Master emerged from the abyss, his eyes radiating cold lightning. He wielded a massive halberd, splitting the sky and shaking the 8 deserts, aiming directly at Yi Xiaoyao's face. Regardless of the reason, killing Yi Xiaoyao was the first priority. He had witnessed the destruction of the Yin-Yang sect firsthand. Seeing the black-robed Lama of the fallen Buddhist sect perform turning heaven and earth back today, and the terrifying scene of Yi Xiaoyao suppressing 7 great saints. If he were to reach the Quasi-Emperor realm, he would undoubtedly pose an unprecedented threat. So it's you. Yi Xiaoyao faced the halberd head-on, his expression unchanged, giving the Demon Palace Grand Master a strange look. The divination images from the destruction of the Yin-Yang sect showed this man, accompanied by a bald old trickster and a demonic old man. You're strong, but you can't kill me. Yi Xiaoyao waved his hand, and 10 billion tiny figures crowded from top to bottom, the entire heaven and earth filled with miniature Yi Xiaoyao's images. He unleashed the transformation of divine demons technique, but it was far more exaggerated than that of the Sin Saints. Wherever the great strike passed, 5 billion miniature Yi Xiaoyao died tragically, and another 5 billion attacked. The Grand Palace Master stared in disbelief, his mind filled with question marks. Clone technique, you're going too far. When he looked again, Yi Xiaoyao's figure was gone. His immense divine consciousness was disrupted, making it impossible to discern. As expected of the guy who suppressed the 7 great saints of the Yin-Yang sect, he's indeed difficult to kill. The Grand Palace Master's face darkened, his pupils finally contracting as he saw Yi Xiaoyao's true form flying thousands of miles away, the Tao of time and space. With each step he took, Yi Xiaoyao seemed to transcend time, his speed even more terrifying than that of a quasi-emperor. He was utterly shocked. He clearly remembered that when the Yin-Yang sect was destroyed, Yi Xiaoyao hadn't yet comprehended such a terrifying law. He must have only recently comprehended it. He was terrified. How long had it been? Damn it! How dare you strike my master? Before he could recover, a mouthful of saliva landed on his face, and a black crow flapped its wings, like a moth drawn to a flame, swiftly following Yi Xiaoyao. Where did this hairy beast come from? The Grand Palace Master's face turned pale, his anger rising, and he immediately chased after him. Below, a group of cultivators from the Abyssal Demon Palace were stunned. They had actually witnessed their esteemed Grand Palace Master being spat on. Truly useless. The Jade Water Immortal coldly snorted, surpassing the Grand Palace Master in pursuit. Her figure flickered between real and illusory, light as if she weighed nothing. He could be called Yi Xiaoyao, the first among them. Thus, the 4 quasi-emperors pursued together, traversing to vast continents. Countless people witnessed the scene, filled with terror, and the news spread like wildfire. Finally, Yi Xiaoyao stood on a mountain bordering Haizhou and Yangzhou. Yangzhou was the former location of the Yin-Yang sect. Beyond Yangzhou lay Taijuan. Bixui Immortal, are you still pursuing? Yi Xiaoyao stood on the mountaintop with his hands clasped behind his back, the mist swirling beneath his feet, as if he had become an immortal. Hand over the divine medicine, and leave your life behind. The beautiful face of the Jade Water Immortal was filled with murderous intent. The Tai Yin divine medicine held immense significance for her, and it was also the most precious treasure of the Tai Yin Demon Palace. She couldn't afford to lose it. Do you really think my goal is just the divine medicine? Yi Xiaoyao smiled, pointing behind the Jade Water Immortal. Those 3 have already been thrown aside by me, now only you remain. You plundered my Tai Yin Demon Palace, and now you want to rob me of my beauty. The Jade Water Immortal's beautiful face grew even colder. This lecture. I only want your body. Don't misunderstand. Yi Xiaoyao said with a smile. You. The Jade Water Immortal gasped for breath, her beautiful eyes blazing with fury, and she immediately attacked. Wanting her body, what else could that be but plundering her beauty? But before she could reach him, she suddenly turned around and fled towards the Taiyin Demon Palace. The current situation is illogical. It's too late. Second Master, help me capture this woman. Yi Xiao said indifferently, sneering to the left. There are too few people in this world who understand the Tao of space and time. A quasi-emperor wouldn't be able to catch up. He merely wanted to lure the Jade Water Immortal here, and if he could capture her, he would use her for the enlightenment ceremony Second Master had also called. What? The Jade Water Immortal's beautiful face changed slightly, suddenly stopping and looking towards the direction from which she had come. She saw an old man's figure slowly emerge from the void, blocking her path, strangely looking at his nephew, seemingly wondering when his nephew's taste had changed. Were you trying to provoke me earlier? The Jade Water Immortal said coldly. It was clear that Yi Xiao had been plotting since inside the ice tower, deliberately observing her body, provoking her, and even arranging their confrontation. All of this was pre-planned. Later, a series of provocative words were used to make her lose her composure and recklessly pursue him. If she hadn't been a quasi-emperor, she would have seen through the trick long ago. Of course, her quasi-emperor realm also gave her immense confidence. In this world, except for gods and demons, there were almost no ones who could kill her. You're not completely stupid. One of the reasons I chose to target the Taiyin Demon Palace before was you. Taiyin Demon Palace, I want the rare treasures. I want the divine medicine, and you. I want you too. Yi Xiao chuckled, his words extremely domineering. Previously, being in the Demon Dao Great Continent, he didn't want to put his second master in danger. To avoid being surrounded by a group of Demon Dao quasi-emperors. Second Master is very powerful, an invincible quasi-emperor, but he's not defying heaven, and he can't sweep across the world. Haizhou and Yangzhou are on the border, close to the territory of the righteous path, so a siege is impossible. What deep schemes, Yi Xiao? You're the real demon. The Jade Water Immortal's heart turned icy, her beautiful face even colder. This young man, not very old, acted with extreme ruthlessness, cautiously taking every step, without a trace of youthful spirit. How dare you? I am the righteous path, straightforward and resolute, upright and just. Yi Xiao shouted, feeling this was slander. He calmly said, either you cooperate or I'll have my second master force you to cooperate. Different choices mean different treatment. You choose. Whoosh! The Jade Water Immortal's figure flashed, quickly fleeing, not even listening to Yi Xiao's words before running away. As a quasi-emperor, how could he be swayed by Yi Xiao's words? Yi Xiao's mouth twitched, feeling insulted. Boom! The entire world was turned upside down, the universe changing unexpectedly, the boundless divine realm sealing off a radius of 10,000 miles. Fake! The Jade Water Immortal lightly touched her forehead with her jade hand, her graceful body becoming transparent, actually penetrating the divine realm and escaping quickly. It was as if she didn't exist in this world, merely a false image projected from the Azure Abyss realm. It's no wonder it's a fake, it can actually penetrate the divine realm seal. The Eternal Life Ancestor exclaimed in surprise. Previously, when killing the heavenly demon, those heavenly demons were exhausted from fighting, let alone moving so naturally and escaping through the divine realm. Within the divine realm, he was the Lord. All people and all laws were weakened, like a giant cage, making escape virtually impossible. But the Jade Water Immortal did it. Eternal Life Ancestor, that's all. I bid you farewell. The Jade Water Immortal chuckled, transforming into a stream of light, instantly fleeing 10,000 miles away. Is that so? You understand too little about faith. The Eternal Life Ancestor's face was expressionless. Countless believers rose up, bowing to the Jade Water Immortal. My countless believers believe you are real. You are real. Even if you are fake, you are real. As soon as the words were spoken, the Jade Water Immortal's soft body instantly solidified 10,000 miles away. The Eternal Life Ancestor's large hand reached out, penetrating the boundless range, seizing the Jade Water Immortal, binding her tightly with immense faith power. Fake. The beautiful face of Fairy Beck has subtly changed, and she immediately let out a soft cry. Her supple body began to become transparent, but a powerful force of faith constantly prevented her from becoming false. True Tao? How is that possible? How did you comprehend the true Tao? The Jade Water Immortal exclaimed in shock. It's not about truth or falsehood. This is the fundamental first step in a god-demon's confrontation with a powerful great emperor. It's the belief in the myriad paths, similar to the heavenly Tao divine body. If the believer believes in your true existence, you cannot make yourself false. The eternal life ancestor brought the jade water immortal back, placed her before Yi Xiaoyao, and said expressionlessly, "What is a god demon? As long as the believer is present, they are immortal and indestructible, with infinite resurrection. As long as the believer is present, they will the power of faith, resisting the 3,000 great paths and directly reaching the origin. The only weakness is the death of the believer. Then the god demon is truly dead." This was also the fundamental cause of the dark turmoil. The gods and demons didn't want to die, so they could only kill people, steal their souls, and falsely claim to be their own followers. Big to Immortal, please cooperate a little, otherwise I can't promise what I'll do to you. Yi Xiaoyao gently tied up Big Thai's hair. Cooperate with you? Pervert! How else do you expect me to cooperate with you? Big to Immortal's beautiful face was filled with murderous intent, blaring at Yi Xiaoyao, utterly humiliated. She could foresee her fate. This pervert would surely steal her virginity. Don't be angry. Return to the Righteous Path Alliance. Listen to me in everything. And absolutely don't have any ulterior motives. I have no patience left now. Yi Xiaoyao leaned close to Baishu Immortal's ear, his voice gradually turning icy. If I fail, I guarantee I will kill every single one of you in the demonic path in the future, including your disciples and grand disciples. Whether it's 10 million or tens of billions, you will all die. Baishu Immortal's heart grew even colder. She stared into Yi Xiaoyao's eyes, a hint of madness lurking within them. That madness sent chills down her spine. He was a righteous cultivator, his body radiating evil energy, even more terrifying than the demonic path. Then, the crow returned, subduing the relentlessly pursuing Mingju's spirit. After all, it was an immortal spirit. Mingju's spirit was no match for it. Caw caw caw. The crow, holding a green phoenix, laughed triumphantly at Yi Xiaoyao, emitting an unpleasant crowing sound. Let's go. Yi Xiaoyao ignored the crow and quickly left with Baishui Immortal. But the holy sins had already changed direction, their coffins pulled by dogs. Flying at incredible speed, he threw out all the great saints of the Abyssal Demon Palace. At this point, the looting event ended completely satisfactorily. Not long after Yi Xiaoyao left, Grandmother Zhuanyan, Li Huang, and the Great Palace Lord of the Abyss arrived. Outrageous! Outrageous! Yi Xiaoyao, I want you to die without a burial place. After learning the situation, Grandmother Zhuanyan roared to the heavens, his eyes practically tearing apart. They stole his treasure vault, his divine medicine, his woman, and even his supreme Tao imperial weapon. The aura of the eternal life ancestor. This is Yi Xiaoyao's scheme. Emperor Lei's eyes flickered, his expression grim, filled with intense sorrow. He had previously received news that the 20 great saints of the Righteous Path Alliance had also fled, and the treasures in their treasury had been plundered, the fruits of countless years' accumulation. Divine medicines and pearls were also lost. The losses were unprecedented. Yi Xiaoyao's scheme. A young man not even 20 years old, yet possessing such cunning. The Abyss Grand Palace Master spoke, frowning. He didn't know Yi Xiaoyao well, only having witnessed his formidable feat of overpowering 7 great saints of the Yin-Yang sect. Those deceitful fellows of the Righteous Path Alliance wouldn't engage in robbery. Nothing like that has ever happened in the ages. Only Yi Xiaoyao, this anomaly, under the banner of righteousness, does things even more outrageous than my demonic path. Grandmother Zhuanyan cursed loudly, his resentment growing with each thought. Only they, the Taiyin Demon Palace, plundered others' possessions. When had they ever been robbed? The key point was that they, the demonic sect, didn't plunder others. Yet that little brat even stole from the Jade Water Immortal, a beast. The Abyss Grand Palace Master was stunned. It was clear this robbery was premeditated, even audacious enough to involve the Jade Water Immortal, and yet it succeeded. So meticulous, so daring, so calculated could such a scheme have come from a blonde-haired brat. The divine abilities they used, the sinful saints, and Yi Xiaoyao's, are very different. It's an unprecedented great emperor technique. Only then could they escape so easily. The Abyss Grand Palace Master pondered, a bad premonition rising within him. This time, the Righteous Path Alliance revealed many things during the robbery. such as Yi Xiaoyao's exaggerated ability to give birth to a child, instantly amounting to 10 billion. Fortunately, he was a quasi-emperor with strong psychological resilience. A great saint would probably have been scared to death. Then there was the 100 dogs pulling the coffin. A dignified quasi-emperor couldn't even keep up with a few dogs. It's too illogical. If the eternal life ancestor had intervened, we wouldn't have been able to reclaim it. Has the ancient demon not yet broken through to the great emperor realm? Grandmother Zhuan Yin stood in the void, pacing back and forth, angrily saying, "It's been 10 years. What's the point of this nonsense? Still no breakthrough." His words were filled with resentment. Without a great emperor or a god demon intervening, no one could kill the invincible eternal life ancestor, and therefore no one could kill Yi Xiaoyao. It's not that easy. People have been stuck at this level for over 2,000 years, and even now they can't touch the threshold of becoming a great emperor. Le Huang sighed. Ancient demons in the primordial era already had the potential to achieve great emperor status, yet now, after 10 years, they still haven't broken through. This is enough to show how difficult it is to reach the level of quasi-emperor. A heaven-defying figure like Taijuan, a single ancestor. Even he didn't fail back then, falling into a tragic death. According to the Heavenly Demon's report, the ancient demon is about to break through within the next few months. The great palace Lord of the Abyss spoke. The abduction of the Jade Water Immortal served as a warning. Even a noble quasi-emperor could be killed. The power of the eternal life ancestor is truly terrifying. One day, he might be killed on the street while strolling outside. How can one let others snore beside their bed? Therefore, the eternal life ancestor must die, and that evil, rebellious little Taijuan must die. Good? Then I will patiently wait a few months. Humph. When the time comes for the righteous and demonic battle, I will personally slaughter Yi Xiaoyao. Otherwise, it will be difficult to quell the hatred in my heart. The Zhuanyan ancestor's body was filled with murderous intent, his eyes filled with hatred. The Jade Water Immortal was his only chance to attain the great Emperor Dao, but now it's gone, equivalent to his path being broken. Why did the people of the primordial and ancient eras recover? Wasn't it to attain the great Emperor Dao? This is the lifelong pursuit of all cultivators. Whoever breaks their path will be met with an unforgivable enmity. Go! The three departed. Meanwhile, the Taiyan Demon Palace was plundered, and the news could not be concealed. It swept across the entire Kangyuan continent like a storm. Whether it was other demon sects or primordial races, everyone was in an uproar, overwhelmed by an inexplicable shock. 1,000,000 years had passed, and this was the first time the demonic path had been plundered. Most shocking was that the Jade Water Immortal, this quasi-emperor, had even had her Supreme Dao Emperor weapon, the Pearl, stolen. Amazing! I never dreamed that a cultivator with such heaven-reaching power, almost capable of sweeping across the 8 deserts, like the Jade Water Immortal, would be captured. This Yi Xiaoyao's temper is really huge, isn't it? Even a phoenix sparrow isn't enough for him. He set his sights on that deceased person. The ancient race's Emperor Jushin, upon hearing his subordinate's report, was dumbfounded. Even this imperial prince couldn't help but curse. Beside him, the holy prince clenched his fists, gnashing his teeth in envy and jealousy. He was still worrying about achieving sainthood, and that guy had slept with a quasi-emperor. This lustful devil. The Phoenix clan's ancient prince's face turned pale as he cursed loudly. He had previously thought that 10 years ago, Yi Xiaoyao had slept with his sister for a long time without deflowering her, indicating his upright character and that he wasn't a lecher. But now, he felt that the person his younger sister was relying on wasn't the right one. As Yi Xiaoyao grew stronger, this guy had let himself go. We're role models. The king of the realm of lust, Yi Xiaoyao, the great pleasure seeker of the northwest of the Guisu Holy Land, can only gaze at his back. He's incomparable. To die under a peony, even as a ghost, he'll be dashing. This guy, given time, will surely become a generation's emperor of lust. So seductive, so seductive. The young talents of the ancient race and the demonic path, upon hearing of Yi Xiaoyao's exploits, were moved and astonished. Whether friend or foe, they all admired him from the bottom of their hearts. From the mythical era to the present, many have abducted women, but none have abducted a female quasi-emperor. Especially the Jade Water Immortal, almost half a peak demonic path great saint, the dream lover of a quasi-emperor. Many had tried to covet her, but all ended in failure. But now, she's been taken by Yi Xiaoyao. For a time, the youth praised and revered him as a deity, while the older generation condemned him. Because many high-ranking figures in the demonic path were contemporaries of the Jade Water Immortal, considered to be the bright moon of many. Later, it was said that this was a windfall, and various novels were churned out overnight, such as The Righteous Path's Imperial Tutor Steals Those Women, The Jade Water Immortal's Prison Storm, and Yi Xiaoyao's 18 Great Tortures. The author was the same person, not using his real name, but a pen name, Night Reigned with a Sword, and No Umbrella. Brother Yi, I'm powerless. The fitness expert Su Cheng tried to clear Yi Xiaoyao's name, but the backlash was too much. He couldn't win against the crowd. So he bought 2 copies of Yi Xiaoyao's 18 Great Tortures to cover his face. Awesome! The Northwest's most prominent figure, Mo Sin Dao, also bought the related storybook, broke through the wall to steal it all, and read it at night, immediately praising its outstanding literary talent as a monumental work. He then revered it as a sacred text, studying the profound mysteries of extreme torture within. At the same time, another topic was also brought up at the Demon Alliance's conference that night. Firstly, Yi Xiaoyao had created an emperor technique. This was shocking, unbelievable, yet undeniable. Yi Xiaoyao's terrifying power had increased once again. Everyone knew how powerful the emperor technique's destructive force was, and it would undoubtedly greatly enhance the overall strength of the Righteous Alliance. Not to mention the simple cultivation of the emperor technique, which terrified the Demon Alliance's high-ranking officials. Secondly, Yi Xiaoyao was even more powerful than when he annihilated the Yin-Yang sect. He wielded the Tao of time and space, able to escape from several quasi-emperors, and his rapid progress towards becoming a quasi-emperor was frightening. No need for small-scale exploratory wars. Launch a full-scale war. Destroy the Righteous Alliance. The ruthless Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor issued the order, then swiftly advanced into the deepest part of the Heavenly Demon sect to meet the Ancient Demon. This guy is getting more and more perverse. We can't afford to be careless. In a cave, above a dark pool, a middle-aged man with white hair floated, his oricom, seemingly an ordinary person, without any earth-shattering presence. Yet, he made the Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor dare not be disrespectful, speaking cautiously. Just a stinking little brat, let him go. The middle-aged man with white hair slowly opened his eyes, his gaze as deep as an abyss, calmly saying, "Perhaps, with his rapid progress, he will soon break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. At that time, he will be even more terrifying than the Eternal Life Ancestor." The Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor clasped his hands, his heart filled with apprehension towards Yi Xiaoyao. This man was too extraordinary. From the destruction of the Yin-Yang sect to the robbery of the Tai Yin Demon Palace, only a few days had passed. He had already comprehended the profound laws of time and space. Even if he is a quasi-emperor, what difference does it make? I have already attained the Tao and become an emperor. Everything is about to turn to dust. Whether it's the Eternal Life Ancestor or him, they are nothing but dry bones. The middle-aged man with white hair spoke calmly, yet his words revealed an invincible belief, not even bothering to acknowledge the other two. Those who attain the Tao are undoubtedly unparalleled figures throughout history, invincible in the world. You have achieved the 9-9 unity, wielding the great emperor's Tao laws. The Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor was slightly startled, tentatively asking, 9 Tao laws unifying, evolving into a unique great emperor's Tao law belonging to oneself. 9 small worlds merging to evolve into a great world, empowered by the world's power, capable of ruling over eternity. That's right, as long as I overcome the great emperor tribulation, I can rule the world, encompassing all living beings. Good, good. Congratulations, ancient demon great emperor. The heavenly demon's heart trembled, jealousy flashing in his eyes, but it quickly vanished, his demeanor becoming even more respectful. A living great emperor. Completely incomparable to a quasi-emperor, he single-handedly controls the heavens. Even with his gentle background, the Righteous Path Alliance is useless. This decisive battle marks the beginning of the great emperor's golden age. There's no room for error. Step back, the white-haired middle-aged man said indifferently. The heavenly demon immediately bowed and retreated. Just the Righteous Path Alliance, a bunch of insignificant ants. I don't even consider the few gods and demons in the Dark Forbidden Zone worthy of my attention, let alone you. The white-haired middle-aged man spoke, his gaze becoming even more profound. After his tribulation, the masters of the Dark Forbidden Zone will inevitably make a move to assassinate him. That's what he's focusing on. Some hope he achieves enlightenment. Others don't. Within the righteous path, Yi Xiao paid no attention to the outside world, instead sitting cross-legged on his bed, with the Jade Water Immortal bound by chains of the Great Tao before him. What exactly do you want? The beautiful face of the Jade Water Immortal maiden, this was her first time sharing a bed with a man, and she feared Yi Xiao might do something to her. Nothing. Yi Xiao narrowed his eyes, placing his hands on the Jade Water Immortal maiden's stomach. His immense divine consciousness and cultivation penetrated her body, probing her every technique and fundamental essence. He desperately wanted to dismember this woman, but feared she might commit suicide in her anger. If Quasi-Emperor wanted to commit suicide, even he couldn't stop her. You! The Jade Water Immortal maiden felt a gentle warmth on her stomach. Her beautiful face turned crimson, her anger turning to purple. 9 chaotic laws surged within her, hindering Yi Xiao's probing. This probing of her private parts was no different from stripping her naked. I won't break your body, nor will I kill you. I only want to study the truth of your words. That's all. Let go. If you cooperate well and the matter is resolved, I will release you. Yi Xiao frowned, unable to restrain himself from saying, if it were a great saint, he would have long since cut them into pieces. He had absolutely no mercy or leniency towards the demonic path, regardless of gender. But is that really true? The Jade Water Immortal was slightly startled, hesitating before speaking. No way. Do you really think I'm interested in you? A woman who doesn't know much about the age of old women, although she looks younger in the coming years. Her age is ultimately your misfortune. Yi Xiao said calmly, I'm not interested in old women. His words were sharp and extremely insulting, causing the Jade Water Immortal to explode with anger, her autumn eyes practically spitting fire. Women. The most unbearable thing is being ugly and old. Of course, Yi Xiao wouldn't dare say this to Lin Yaoji. That woman was too beautiful to long-lived a female emperor in the mythical era. If he dared say it, Lin Yaoji could bite him to death. Fine. I'll cooperate. If you dare change your mind again, even if I commit suicide, I won't let you succeed. The Jade Water Immortal, after all, was an exceptionally beautiful and elegant quasi-emperor. Regaining her composure, she stared at Yi Xiao and said, as long as her virginity wasn't violated, everything was easy to talk about. Very well. Yi Xiao smiled. The laws and chaotic energy intertwined, entering the Jade Water Immortal's body, probing the 9 great trees in her dantian. One of them was the fundamental root of the true and false Tao. His cultivation enveloped the true and false tree, and he closed his eyes to study it thoroughly. As he comprehended, his heaven-defying comprehension was also stimulated, and his understanding of the true and false principles progressed at an exaggerated speed. Faster than consuming any sacred medicine, before long he could achieve the true and false path to perfection, approaching the quasi-emperor realm. What shocked the Jade Water Immortal was that her tree of laws did not reject Yi Xiao. This is Chaos Cha. The Jade Water Immortal's beautiful eyes suddenly widened, filled with shock and disbelief. While Yi Xiao was examining her, she also sensed his chaotic Cha, the aura of the origin of all things, the source of the 3,000 great paths. In an instant, the Jade Water Immortal's heart beat faster, revealing a hint of longing. Chaos energy, the origin of all laws, has no repulsion, so for her, it can be said to be the best glue, more valuable than divine medicine. If she obtains this chaotic energy, she can certainly borrow the power of chaos to unify the 9 laws and attain the great Emperor Tao. This supreme realm she has pursued for thousands of years. This is my opportunity, my only opportunity in this life. The Jade Water Immortal stared at Yi Xiao with her clear, limpid eyes, sometimes blushing, sometimes with unwavering determination. Her breathing quickened, her soft body heated up, and a fragrant scent emanated from her, intoxicating and mesmerizing. The chaotic energy has endless uses. It can be said that Yi Xiao himself is a huge treasure for many women stuck at the quasi-emperor level, even gods and demons. The gods and demons have gone astray, achieving immortality is impossible. Returning to chaos, reverting to their true nature, is the only path. The chaotic energy can cleanse their own belief power, allowing them to return to the great emperor realm or even achieve immortality. This is also the reason why Lin Yaoji, the noble and gentle mistress of the fragrant realm, sacrificed herself. The Jade Water Immortal also discovered the wondrous power of the chaotic energy. This person isn't too bad, but he truly has no interest in me. The Jade Water Immortal stared at Yi Xiaoya's face, her beautiful eyes filled with complex emotions. In his eyes, she was merely a tool to participate in the enlightenment. Combined with Yi Xiaoya's legends, she had thoroughly understood his character. If he hadn't offered her some valuable insights, she would probably have killed him by now. Ultimately, the Jade Water Immortal remained silent for a long time, finally gritting her teeth, her gaze resolute. Yi Xiaoya wasn't interested in me, but that didn't mean he wasn't interested in increasing his cultivation level. She has preserved her virginity to this day, her original yin energy intact, and by utilizing dual cultivation methods, she can elevate the other party's cultivation to a considerable height. The Jade Water Immortal's soft body trembled as she slowly undressed. 3,000 great paths, 100 rivers flowing into one sea. In the end, all returned to chaos. Yi Xiaoyao, comprehending the true and false tree within the dantian of the Jade Water Immortal, felt a tremor in his heart and understood even more. If the origin of the Great Path is a single starting point, then the 3,000 laws branch out from that starting point, one dividing into two, 2/3, 3/3, and all things. A person can only accept 9 laws at most. To achieve enlightenment and become an emperor is to perfect 9 great laws, 9 returning to 1, small worlds merging into a great world. Wielding the power of the world, only then can one's combat power far surpass that of a quasi-emperor. But ultimately, a great emperor has not truly mastered the origin of the Great Path. Otherwise, they would not be a great emperor, but an immortal. The true origin of the Great Path is chaos. Everything comes from chaos, is born from chaos, and the 3,000 great paths are no exception. Yi Xiaoyao, possessing the chaos immortal demon body, could be said to be the only one in this world capable of achieving immortality. So that's it. No wonder Lin Yaoji went to such lengths to get me. A realization dawned on Yi Xiaoyao, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. His body radiated golden light, becoming even more divine. While within him, a true and false Tao tree rapidly grew, reaching the heights of a towering tree. True and false, perfected. The 9 great laws are still lacking the Tao of destiny. Truly I've abandoned the near and sought the far. I possess chaotic energy, and within chaotic energy, there is already the law of destiny. Yi Xiaoya chuckled bitterly to himself. He even understood the meaning hidden within the great emperor realm. To put it bluntly, it was about merging with the great world, then devouring the 3,000 laws of the Azure Abyss realm, and integrating these laws within his own great world to create his own chaotic energy. He then transformed this chaotic energy into the primordial chaos, the origin point. Unfortunately, no one in the world possessed such a cultivation method, so no one could achieve immortality. Yi Xiaoya's chaos immortal demon technique was this method, devouring the primordial essence of 10,000 different physics, which was equivalent to devouring 10,000 different laws, thus giving birth to chaotic energy early. Lin Yaoji understood this, so she put him to sleep, obtained the chaotic energy, and had hope of becoming an immortal. The way of destiny, in a sense, divination is also a form of the way of destiny. Divining someone's past, present, and future allows one to control their destiny. Yi Xiaoyao understood in his heart. A seed silently planted in his dantian sprouted, then grew strong and healthy. The 9th law emerged. At the same time, his divination skills advanced on a large scale. His mind became even more insightful, and his attitude towards all things changed. The moment he opened his eyes, he seemed to be able to see through people and objects, perceiving every tiny thread, like a vast net covering the entire Kingyuan realm. This was destiny. Oh! The moment he opened his eyes, he found his mouth blocked by soft, rosy lips, a fragrant scent filling his nostrils, and a surge of heat rising within him. The mature, alluring, and fair face of the Jade Water Immortal was like a ripe peach, so close. Looking down, he saw the white, majestic peaks of her breasts. Yi Xiaoya's brain froze for a moment, and he suddenly understood the meaning of the saying, "If you can't see your toes when you bow your head, you are the most beautiful woman in the world." Her lower abdomen was flat, her arms like lotus stems, her skin as smooth as snow, so delicate it could break with a breeze. Two slender, jade-like thighs wrapped around his waist, revealing a delicate and radiant beauty. Holy cow! What are you doing? Yi Xiaoyao suddenly recoiled, completely bewildered. This woman, who had just been afraid of him laying hands on her, was now being so proactive. What's going on? Did I, third master, drug her? Yi Xiaoyao's head was about to explode. No, don't say it. I want you. The Jade Water Immortal's eyes were like autumn water, her breath like orchids. She spoke softly, then pulled up again, her small chair-like mouth directly blocking Yi Xiaoyao's. Even if I, Yi Xiaoyao, starve to death, I won't eat charity. A burning heat rose from his stomach, igniting a raging fire. Yi Xiaoyao angrily cursed. Then, it was so delicious. If he refused even this, it would only prove he was worse than an animal. Humph. A moment later, following a cry of pain from the Jade Water Immortal, she gritted her teeth, and the octopus tightly gripped Yi Xiaoyao's back. 10,000 words omitted here. Within the Heavenly Tao Alliance, the night flowed like water, the hazy moon surely hiding behind the clouds. The small pavilion's bed shook all night. The next morning, it finally stopped. The Jade Water Immortal's beautiful face was flushed red as she lay on the bed, her bedding concealing an infinitely alluring beauty. Like a girl next door, she gently stroked Yi Xiaoyao's hair and whispered, I remember things from my time in the mortal world. I also know how to cook. Do you want some? Okay, egg fried rice. Yi Xiaoyao yawned, everything unspoken. But what happened last night made him completely clear. In this world, there is only one path that leads to the heart of a woman in the fields. Of course, he was also aware of some of the hidden secrets of the Jade Water Immortal, such as her extreme sensitivity. You rest for a while. The Jade Water Immortal smiled, not shying away from Yi Xiaoyao, and slowly changed her clothes in front of him, revealing her astonishing curves, a very explosive S-shaped figure. Her upper body was straight as ice and snow, while her lower buttocks were round and proudly protruding. Wearing a female chef's outfit, she slowly walked away. Tisk, bed-warming maids, and now even more female chefs. Yi Xiaoyao sighed. If this were to spread, it could make a group of powerful figures jealous to the point of spitting blood. The pure and innocent ancient empress wanted a bed-warming maid. The seductive demoness, the first female emperor, was a maid. And the intimate and passionate Jade Water Immortal was a female chef. Who else had such treatment? Thinking of this, little Yi Xiaoyao raised his head. A moment later, in the kitchen, Yi Xiaoyao found himself in a new environment. You! Big Two Immortal exclaimed in surprise, turning her head and glaring at Yi Xiaoyao with her clear, watery eyes. Continue cooking, Yi Xiaoyao gestured, busying himself with his own tasks. Meanwhile, Big Two Immortal's bright eyes lit up with embarrassment. Her red lips slightly pursed. Her face flushed like a sunset, trembling slightly as she cooked. It was unclear whether it was anger or something else. She started cooking in the morning and finished by noon. Besides egg fried rice, there were also potato fries, minced meat, and other things for dishes and a bowl of soup. Quite a hearty meal. Yi Xiaoyao ate contentedly, while Big Two Immortal sighed softly, her blush still lingering, and gently and affectionately reached out and lightly tapped Yi Xiaoyao's forehead. You! A dignified and respected figure of the righteous path, a man of immense stature, yet so indecent. After saying that, she wiped away a grain of rice from the corner of Yi Xiaoyao's mouth. So intimate, so incredibly intimate. Indeed, older sisters always know how to take care of people. Yi Xiaoyao sighed, thinking to himself, when I was a child, why did my grandfathers hire that old man, Elder Bai, as a nanny? Wouldn't it have been better to find a kind and understanding older sister? Of course, except for Lan Yaoji, that woman was incredibly wicked. Either she didn't care about his strength and used force on him, or she was busy cultivating. Occasionally, she would go out and buy him kidney strengthening and aphrodisiacs from all over the world. Yesterday, she wasn't home. She must have gone out to find some powerful tonic, supposedly to hunt and kill a bull to give Yi Xiaoyao its kidneys to eat. And Feng Queer, that mischievous little girl, didn't care about anyone else. She only clung to him. And she was a little jealous girl, just like the kitten Yi Xiaoyao kept at home. Improper. Who exactly is being improper? Yi Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows, a smile that wasn't quite a smile on his face, I was imitating you, and I didn't have any malicious intentions. Really? Then what about in the kitchen just now? The Jade Water Immortal tied up her hair, like a refined young lady, naturally graceful and elegant. Cough, cough. I must go into seclusion. Yi Xiaoyao cleared his throat, immediately devoured the food on the table, returned to his bed, and sat cross-legged. He now possessed 9 laws, 8 of which were perfected, and the 9th, the law of destiny, was also maturing. As long as he had sufficient resources, he could enter the Quasi-Emperor realm. And the plundering of the Jade Water Immortal provided him with immense energy, plus the Tai-Yin Divine Medicine. In a few days, he would immediately break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. Want to break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm? This speed is truly unprecedented and unparalleled. The Jade Water Immortal sighed softly, lost in thought. With the intimate connection between her and Yi Xiaoyao, and their dual cultivation of yin and yang, the chaotic energy had no hindrance to her, and she was very familiar with his physical condition. A 20-year-old Quasi-Emperor realmness was unimaginable in all of history. The youngest Quasi-Emperor must be at least 1,000 years old. If he truly broke through to the Quasi-Emperor realm, the news would be enough to stir up a storm in the Kangyuan realm, and the Dark Forbidden Zone would likely no longer be peaceful. The Jade Water Immortal slowly walked out of the small building, gazing at the swirling clouds and the cloud scroll, lost in thought. Greetings, Jade Water Immortal. Please allow me to see the Imperial Master. Zhao Zicheng clasped his hands, his gaze strangely fixed on the Jade Water Immortal, as if trying to find traces of whipping on her. Now, rumors were circulating that the group had bound the Jade Water Immortal and were preparing to subject her to inhuman abuse. He is in seclusion and is not receiving visitors. The Jade Water Immortal shook her head slightly. Her words were familiar. As Yi Xiaoyao's woman, this was a fixed fact, and she naturally had to consider her actions. The Demon Alliance has set out, millions of demon cultivators are approaching, and a large-scale war has already begun at the border of the Righteous Path Alliance. It won't take more than a few months before the decisive battle begins. Therefore, the Deputy Alliance leaders, including the sword-slaying Quasi-Emperor, ordered me to summon the small group to discuss countermeasures. Zhao Zicheng said with a serious expression. The Righteous Path Alliance is now in utter chaos, with countless disciples gathering to meet the enemy, but they still need a commander. Yi Xiaoyao, as an imperial tutor, has incredibly high prestige. He would be the perfect leader. He is currently in a critical situation. The Jade Water Immortal refused again. She had no interest in the war between the righteous and demonic factions when she was in the Tai-Yin Demon Palace, and now she is even less interested. The only person in the Righteous Path Alliance that interests her is Yi Xiaoyao. The more laws one grasps, the greater the conflict. If the breakthrough to the Quasi-Emperor realm fails, the consequences are extremely serious. The higher the realm, the greater the price of failure. Even if they don't die, they'll be seriously injured. Zhao Zicheng's eyes widened slightly, cornered. He had no choice but to hastily return to report. After he left, a woman in a long purple dress, with exquisite beauty and an extremely seductive aura, appeared in the void. She narrowed her phoenix eyes, assessing the Jade Water Immortal. Who are you? The Jade Water Immortal's delicate eyebrows furrowed, showing not a hint of gentleness. Yi Xiaoyao is my man. Who do you think I am? Lan Yaji chuckled, stepping forward to caress the Jade Water Immortal's face, saying with a chuckle, your beauty isn't bad at all. If you hadn't refused to let anyone disturb his seclusion just now, you would be dead by now. Really? Just you? The Jade Water Immortal snorted coldly, a murderous glint in her eyes. If she remembered correctly, Yi Xiaoyao only had one woman, and that was Feng Queer. She wondered where this one had come from. Little girl, even if your Tai-Yin Demon Palace's ancestor, the Tai-Yin Great Emperor, were to face me, he would have to address me as Grandma. Lan Yaoji stretched out her slender 5 fingers, reflecting the sunlight, and thought to herself, so don't provoke me, or I'll kill you. The Jade Water Immortal was stunned. She seemed to remember something, her beautiful eyes widening in shock. She remembered the one who had attacked her at the Burial Emperor Mountain. You are the mistress of gentle fragrance, she murmured, utterly incredulous. How could she have imagined that this legendary female emperor was Yi Xiaoyao's woman? This one, even in the Dark Forbidden Zone, would be a top-tier god or demon. How did that spoiled brat manage to do that? Immediately, the Jade Water Immortal's spirits plummeted, and she could only retreat in fear. No one dared to underestimate that person. Not even the master of the Nine Yin Mountain, the one behind the Tai Yin Demon Palace. Now, who is big and who is small? Understood. Lam Yaoji, with her small hands clasped behind her back, suddenly paused, glancing at the Jade Water Immortal in front of her, then at herself, her beautiful face stiffening slightly. She felt she needed to change her wording. The Jade Water Immortal knelt slightly in reverence, bowing her head and softly saying, "Understood." HMPH. Lam Yaji coldly snorted, glaring fiercely at the Jade Water Immortal in front of her. Just as she was about to say something, she suddenly looked up towards the small building. A beam of light shot straight to the horizon, illuminating all directions, with the sun rising in the east, the phoenix resting on the Wudang tree. The yellow setting in the nine heavens, various auspicious phenomena occurring one after another, a brilliant omen. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura erupted from within the building. That was the ultimate peak of perfection, the physical body, the soul, and the laws of the universe all at their peak, like a child who had endured for decades finally reaching adulthood. A wave of power that made all beings kneel swept across the entire Righteous Path Alliance, then spread in all directions, shaking the entire Bazo region. Someone has reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. Inside a shop in the city, an old celestial master who was carefully tattooing someone suddenly looked up, his aged face showing excitement. Who is it? The sinful saint, the great saint of heaven, or Qing Lan? The old celestial master trembled all over, tears almost welling up in his eyes. In this great battle, he knew exactly what the appearance of a quasi-emperor meant. Moreover, reaching the quasi-emperor realm isn't simply a matter of possessing extraordinary talent. The 9 great laws need to merge into one body, and the laws themselves will conflict with each other. This alone has hindered countless great saints. In the Heavenly Master Holy Land, over the past 10,000 years, great saints have appeared in droves, but a quasi-emperor has only appeared once in 10,000 years. Even in the primordial era, during the peak period when great emperors were still alive, there were only 1 or 2 quasi-emperors, which shows just how difficult it is. He kept speculating. However, he didn't think of Yi Xiaoyao. That guy hadn't even reached the great saint realm long ago. How could he break through so quickly? A quasi-emperor. Our Righteous Path Alliance has finally produced a quasi-emperor. Several figures were discussing with gloomy expressions when they suddenly sensed this powerful aura, their faces instantly filled with joy. Who is it? It must be the great sage Thichtian, without a doubt. Yi Xiaoyao gave him half of the Tai Yin divine tree, and his Tai Yin Dao has reached perfection. It must be the sinful saint. This guy could have broken through to the quasi-emperor realm long ago. He just needed an opportunity. Now the opportunity has arrived. The entire Righteous Path Alliance was in an uproar, and figures flew out from various corners, searching for the source of that powerful aura. Zhu Jiyan, the Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor, and the Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor were also moved, and they all emerged from the conference hall. Such a strange phenomenon, covering thousands of miles. What kind of quasi-emperor could cause such a massive phenomenon? The perfected laws and the achievement of a quasi-emperor should at most produce 10,000 rays of light, illuminating thousands of miles. This thousands of miles is a bit exaggerated. The Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor looked at the countless strange phenomena occurring in the sky, shaken beyond comprehension. The appearance of anomalies is related to one's physical constitution. The stronger the constitution, the wider the scope of coverage, up to tens of thousands of miles, and the anomalies are unique, such as the sun rising over the East Sea or the Milky Way setting in the 9 heavens. The phenomenon that the sword-slaying quasi-emperor experienced that year only covered 1,000 miles, the only phenomenon being the 8,000 miles of the North Sea Sword Pass. But beneath the surface of this phenomenon, nothing had ever been heard of. Covering tens of thousands of miles, there were at least 1,000 such phenomena. Boom! The dense laws of heaven and earth, almost tangible, formed a massive vortex, centered around Yi Xiaoyao's secluded cultivation place, encompassing the entire Bazo region. The aura within grew increasingly powerful. Golden lotuses bloomed, immortal cranes sang, and in the deepest part, an immortal palace appeared, boundless and ethereal. Within that immortal palace, a divine sound of the great Tao seemed to be chanting, creating a shower of light that fell upon the earth. This caused countless disciples of the righteous Tao Alliance in Bazo to have their eyes brighten, their expressions showing understanding. The sound of the Tao follows. Isn't this the auspicious sign that appears only when breaking through to the great emperor realm? The great sage Thich, he had once served the great emperor Tai Haiyan, witnessed his enlightenment as a great emperor, and seen the auspicious signs of the great realm. Accompanied by the sound of the Tao, this was the moment of enlightenment, a return from heaven and earth. Under this radiant light, there is bound to be enlightenment, a great opportunity for even a sage. Crack! In Basho City, a Tao-slaying king was incredibly excited, seemingly experiencing a sudden enlightenment. He immediately sat cross-legged, comprehending his own laws, breaking free from shackles, and entering the sage realm. There were also sage kings who had gained insight, pushing their laws to perfection. Such scenes were everywhere. Then, the weather changed dramatically. Within that enormous vortex, 9 great sun-like spheres rotated slowly, forming a continuous image that illuminated the 8 deserts. Sword, soul power, lightning, destiny, death, truth, falsehood, time, space. Each beam of light represents a type of law. 9 great laws connected together, their aura crushing the heavens, causing even saints to tremble. Such terrifying anomalies and fluctuations could not escape the notice of the 12 demonic sects. The Righteous Path Alliance has another powerful aura appearing. Someone has entered the Quasi-Emperor realm. Who is it? The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor, who had rushed back from the Taiyan demonic palace, heard his subordinates report of some treasures being stolen, his face turning pale. He suddenly turned his head, gazing towards the direction of the Righteous Path Alliance, his fists almost drawing blood. The distance was too great to see the anomalies, but at his level, his senses were extremely sensitive, able to detect someone reaching the Quasi-Emperor realm. And very powerful. Not long after the robbery, a Quasi-Emperor appeared in the Righteous Path Alliance. Undoubtedly, it was related to the stolen divine medicine. Damn it! This time, in this decisive battle, the Righteous Path Alliance must pay the same bloody price. Grandmother Zhuanyan and Emperor Li were so shocked they almost gnashed their teeth. The divine medicine, they were reluctant to use it. This feeling is like spending a large sum of money on a dowry to marry a young wife, only to have her snatched away and trampled upon by someone else. Meanwhile, the Grand Palace Master of the Abyss Demon Palace stood atop the abyss, gazing into the distance. I suspect the Taiyan Demon Palace is hostile. They've cultivated a Quasi-Emperor with their divine medicine. This decisive battle will surely bring heavy losses to our demonic path. The second Palace Master spoke, his face extremely grim. He knew how much a Quasi-Emperor could affect the war effort. Certain hostility. The Ice Plains Quasi-Emperor is probably furious right now. The Grand Palace Master snorted, secretly cursing the Taiyan Demon Palace for being useless, unable even to protect their divine medicine. Quickly advance towards the Righteous Path Alliance. Annihilate the Righteous Path. I have no patience left. The black-robed old lama of the fallen Buddha sect stood atop a high mountain, below which lay an endless stream of demonic cultivators, and further away was Crane Continent, the Righteous Path's territory. HCC Show was their first target of all-out war. Beside the old lama was a pale, sickly young man with sunken eyes that glowed red. This man was the first Brahmin, the most swift and powerful practitioner of the 8 ink transformation scrolls, the transformation Red Quasi-Emperor. The greatest assassin of his time. Besides him, there were 2 other figures, the old Asura who ambushed and killed the Kunlun martial-like Quasi-Emperor at the ancient border, and the Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor of the Heavenly Demon sect. It must be the great sage Thichtian, a subordinate of the great Emperor Tai Haiyan. He cultivates the way of yin and yang, and happened to encounter the yin divine medicine, so his breakthrough is not surprising. The transformation Red Quasi-Emperor held a folding fin in his hand, gazing towards the direction of the Righteous Path Alliance. The great sage Thichtian? So it's him. The Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor shook his head and sneered. It doesn't matter. As long as it's not Ishaya who broke through to Quasi-Emperor, the others are not worth worrying about. A Quasi-Emperor, at most, can only inflict losses on the demonic sect, but cannot change the course of the battle. No need to bring that guy up. I'm uncomfortable. The black-robed old lama clasped his hands together, his eyelids trembling. The Buddhist sect's great heaven-defying techniques include the 6 supernatural powers, destiny, insight, Heavenly Eye Insight, Heavenly Ear Insight, Mind Reading, and Divine Foot Insight. He was deeply proficient in destiny insight, able to probe into others' past lives. Yi Xiaoyao was the only one whose past life he couldn't see, which was very strange. Furthermore, that guy, even as a great saint, could suppress 7 great saints of the Yin-Yang sect. If he were to enter the Quasi-Emperor realm, he could hardly imagine what level his combat power would reach. Without 5 or 6 Quasi-Emperors, don't even think about taking him down. Is that the great sage Shishin? I cultivate the path of slaughter, and my senses are much more sensitive than ordinary people. That aura seems very powerful, unlike the great sage Shishin. Old Esura frowned, probing into the distance, feeling a sense of dread. It's not Yi Xiaoyao, that's fine. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor was wary of Yi Xiaoyao, and he said calmly, immediately inform the ancient dragon clan to send people. The first large-scale battle will directly penetrate the center of the Righteous Path Alliance. I don't want to waste another moment. He believed that by killing the pillars of the Righteous Path, the ancient demons would almost certainly face the Great Emperor Tribulation and enter the Great Emperor realm. Yes, a great sage of the heavenly demon sect acknowledged the order and hurried away. After saying that, the group led several million demon cultivators in a large-scale invasion of the Righteous Path Alliance's territory, Crane Continent. At the same time, in the northwestern Great Desert, a group of monks in gray robes arrived from the western lands, numbering no less than 500,000. They were all elites from the western land's spiritual mountain. Unlike other Buddhist disciples, their faces were awe-inspiring, like glaring diamonds. If Yi Xiaoyao were here, he would surely exclaim in surprise. They were all Fahai. Leading them was Yi Xiaoyao's half-disciple, a handsome but domineering young monk, Wuxin. Clearly, he had misled a portion of the Western Lands monks. Beside Wuxin stood an old monk in a crimson robe, holding a golden staff, with a huge golden halo hovering above his head. This man was the current head of Buddhism, Mahakasyapa, who had never attained Buddhahood, but was revered as the world-honored one by countless Buddhists. The title Venerable One is a respectful title for the Buddha. He already has this title before becoming a Buddha, which shows his status in the Western lands. He is even the great disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha in the mythical world. Amitabha Buddha, Venerable Kashyapa, we must hurry and catch up, otherwise Yi Xiaoyao will be in danger. Wu Din clasped his hands together and said, this trip to the Western lands was to lend a hand to the righteous path. Of course, the main purpose was to get rid of Yi Xiaoyao, who was Wu Xin's half-master. Legend says Yi Xiaoyao is the reincarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha, a claim even spread by Venerable Kashyapa. Since Yi Xiaoyao was his master, Venerable Kashyapa couldn't ignore him, which is why 500,000 Buddhists came here. It was also to convert Yi Xiaoyao, otherwise, there would be no other opportunity. It's all right. There are very few who can kill the reincarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha. The war between good and evil won't harm him. It's just that the heavenly mechanism has changed. He may not necessarily follow this old monk and become a monk. Venerable Jai, with a profound and deep gaze, said, now, in this vast world, only a handful of people stand above the level of divination, the righteous heavenly mechanism ancestor. The great high priest of the ancient races, the great sorcerer god of the demonic path, and the Buddhist Venerable Jai, becoming a monk. I heard that Mr. Jai brazenly abducted innocent women and subjected the Jade Water Immortal to extreme torture. Wu Din stroked his bald head. If he had known Mr. Jai before, he would have been furious and cursed these kinds of rumors, considering them a slander against the reincarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha. But since knowing Mr. Jai, he actually felt it was natural. Venerable Jai, watch your words. Venerable Jai's face trembled as he shouted. Those words were tantamount to accusing his master, Venerable Jai, of blatantly abducting a woman, something even his peaceful mind couldn't tolerate. Wuxing, don't let worldly thoughts cloud your judgment. That woman of yours should be dealt with, Venerable Jai said, earnestly advising him. Behind him, many Buddhist disciples, hearing this, looked at Wuxing with a hint of envy. The Yin-Yang sect saintess, Haji, had already been taken by Wuxing, becoming his woman. He had even brought her back to Mount Ling, causing a huge stir. A dignified Buddhist, yet he had a woman. The high-ranking officials of Mount Ling were stunned. Having made a trip to the Taijuan Holy Land, this pure-hearted monk was no longer pure. Even the Buddhist chanting from Mount Lingshan at night often echoed with moaning sounds, repeatedly disturbing the high-ranking Buddhist monks in the Great Hall of the Buddha, causing the chanting to cease abruptly. Once, Wudin was expelled from Buddhism, but the Galam Bodhisattva strongly dissuaded him. Even in the end, he had a profound understanding of Buddhist doctrine. As a result, even the great sage was no match for Wudin. According to him, without experiencing the mundane world, the Buddhist heart cannot be tempered. A body of Buddhist Dharma is like a water hyacinth, fragile and unable to withstand the elements. Only by experiencing the mundane world, the 7 emotions and 6 desires, can one forge a strong and solid Buddhist body, like a lotus emerging from mud without being stained. Venerable One, how could this humble monk be so disturbed? Life is a great sea of suffering. This humble monk has merely experienced the turbulent mundane world, and within that world, I have seen the true essence of the Buddha. Kasi is the young monk who has overcome the barrier of desire. Only by breaking through this barrier can he achieve great sainthood and attain bodhisattva enlightenment. Wudin stood tall and majestic, his face filled with reverence and sincere devotion to the Buddha. For the Buddha, he even intended to take concubines to deeply experience this turbulent world and break through this barrier of desire. As for his concubines, the Emperor Zhongzhenhuang, who had previously moved the kingdom to the eastern desert, sent a message to him, carefully selecting several beautiful women for him. He is indeed a Buddhist disciple. His Buddhist teachings are profound and convincing. Excellent! Excellent! This is what my heart aspires to. Many monks behind him praised loudly, worshipping him endlessly. Years ago, they initially thought these words were wrong. But when they saw Wudin overcome the evil barrier among the 7 emotions and successfully enter sainthood, they no longer doubted him. This is a completely new and groundbreaking Buddhist cultivation system. And the source of this system is a contemporary genius, according to legend. That person was the reincarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha, Yi Xiaoyao. The 7 emotions and 6 desires, the 7 emotional barriers, overcoming them all leads to becoming a great saint, attaining bodhisattva enlightenment, transcending the 6 desires, and becoming a great emperor. That is also the Buddha's enlightenment. The venerable elder Yi fell silent. He was very troubled. Currently, Mount Ling had been divided into 2 factions by Yi Xiaoyao's teachings. One faction was the original Mahayana Buddhist sect, the Wakan sect. The other was the Hongchen sect, represented by the Enlightenment Heart. The differences were extremely serious. He, the head of Buddhism, was caught in the middle, neither inside nor outside. If this continued, Buddhism would soon split apart. The primary purpose of this trip was not only to convert Yi Xiaoyao and lead him into the emptiness sect, but also to seek an explanation for the reason behind the division of Buddhism into 2 factions. In the Righteous Path Alliance, in Bazo City, countless eyes focused on the strange phenomenon in the sky. Numerous saints emerged from various places, witnessing this historic scene. A quasi-emperor. Who exactly is it? Zhu Jiyan stood in the void, frowning. What happened? There's no way to investigate. Not even a breakthrough in location is possible. The heavenly punishment quasi-emperor was filled with uncertainty and suspicion. In his mind, the entire city of Bazo seemed shrouded in a thick fog, its visibility limited. They were speculating about which great saint had achieved the quasi-emperor status. Now, with the continuous strange occurrences, the chaotic state of the heavenly mechanism, and this fog, let alone a quasi-emperor, even a god or demon couldn't investigate. Meanwhile, the 6 ancestors of the Yi family, besides the first ancestor, eternal life, heavenly mechanism, blood god, and the other 6 were seated cross-legged in 6 different directions within Bazo, each chanting incantations. 6 streams of energy converged, forming a vast fog that enveloped the entire city of Bazo. Theft. The 7th ancestor of the Yi family spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale, his aura even weaker. The heavenly mechanism ancestor's eyes flickered, and finally he sighed. He roared, using my blood to conceal the heavenly secrets. How pathetic! Boom! His flesh and blood exploded with a deafening roar, the blood converging and condensing into a massive symbol that enveloped Bazo City. The fog thickened even more. He entered the quasi-emperor realm, and to conceal the heavenly secrets for him, he's already cost us half our lives. When he enters the great emperor realm, we'll surely die. The Liu family patriarch laughed bitterly. Death is death. It's just a pity we won't be able to see him father a son or a daughter. The eternal life ancestor was very calm, his gaze fixed on Yi Xiaoyao's small building, rarely showing such affection. He has already mastered the Tao of destiny. We won't be able to fool him for long. The soul of the heavenly secret ancestor rose, filled with worrying. When he achieves the great emperor realm, my elder brother will intervene, ensuring it's kept secret. The eternal life ancestor said solemnly, even if it means death, we absolutely cannot let him know. Suddenly, he raised his head, stopped casting spells, and revealed a smile. It's over. At that moment, a young man's figure slowly floated out from the small building, the mist slowly dissipating. Finally, I've broken through. Just a little more, and I can become a great emperor. Yi Xiaoyao smiled, 9 divine trees in his dantian forming a circle, slowly rotating with a dense chaotic energy at the center. This gave him a sense of fulfillment and an unprecedented feeling of power. 9 laws converged, forming a new force, like the 9-colored light. This was the semi-finished product of the Great Tao's origin, the 9 great laws seemingly dissolving yet not dissolving. If the great emperor attains enlightenment and the 9 colors completely merge into one, forging the fundamental essence of the Great Tao and wielding the power of the world, then this Kingyuan realm could almost conquer. A further step would be the evolution of the fundamental essence of the Great Tao into chaos, giving birth to the immortal embryo universe. Immortals, in a sense, can evolve into a world, a true world, within which living beings and all things are born. That missed just now. Yi Xiaoyao suddenly frowned, looking towards the outskirts of Bazo. He fell into deep thought. High-ranking members of the Righteous Tao Alliance enter the main hall, hold a meeting. Yi Xiaoyao looked around Bazo, his voice like the chanting of the Great Tao, echoing throughout the 8 deserts. He clasped his hands behind his back and slowly walked towards the main hall. The moment he broke through, the Tao of Destiny was activated, and everything that had happened during his seclusion was clear to him. The demonic Tao's large-scale invasion. He needed to hurry and go to war. Of course, he also had a purpose, which was to gather all kinds of fundamental physical constitutions, pushing his chaos body towards perfection. This was the key to his becoming an emperor, and also the key to becoming an immortal. Accelerating the fusion of the 9 great laws into the fundamental Tao required a considerable amount of chaotic energy. Relying solely on his currently incomplete chaos body, he was still lacking a great deal. On the battlefield, slaughtering demonic Tao saints, and even quasi-emperors, obtaining fundamental physical constitutions was his only option at present. He also needed a huge supply of resources, such as divine medicines and the imperial artifacts within Supreme Tao Emperor weapons. And to obtain these, there were only 2 paths: transmission of techniques and plunder. This was his opportunity to become a great emperor. As Yi Xiaoyao's figure appeared, the entire city of Bazo fell into complete silence. Countless eyes stared blankly at his back, mouths agape, jaws almost dislocated. They had thought of the great sage Shishin, the sinful sage, and other peak great sages, but they never imagined it would be Yi Xiaoyao. He's entered the quasi-emperor realm? The old heavenly master trembled, his eyes widening in disbelief. If he remembered correctly, Yi Xiaoyao had only recently entered the great sage realm, and now he was a quasi-emperor. This speed is too fast. The sinful saint beside him was also greatly shocked, his feelings a mixture of joy and worrying. Like the Yangtze River, the waves follow one another, the previous one crashing onto the sandy shore. He swallowed a divine elixir. That's highly unlikely. Even with the divine elixir, it's impossible to break through so quickly. How exactly did this guy cultivate? A freak, a real freak. Within the city, many righteous path saints praised him incessantly, yet were also baffled. However, they quickly became excited. Others breaking through to the quasi-emperor realm might not have incredibly powerful combat abilities, but Yi Xiaoyao reaching the quasi-emperor realm meant his fighting power was undoubtedly off the charts. At the very least, he could take on 2 opponents at once. This was already their wildest imagination. Anything higher, they dared not think of. Quick! A meeting is being held in the main hall. The great sage then immediately headed towards the main hall of the Righteous Path Alliance, his expression solemn. This time, the demonic path had completely launched a full-scale war, and the decisive battle was not far off. Yi Xiaoya's breakthrough to the Quasi-Emperor realm would have a certain impact on the battle situation, but it wouldn't be too drastic. Who would win, the righteous or the demonic, was still unknown. A moment later, many peak great sages gathered in the main hall. 9 Quasi-Emperors sat upright in their high positions, while Yi Xiaoya stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his expression indifferent as he surveyed the crowd. A sense of oppression silenced the hall. Even the wind stopped, making it impossible to breathe. I invite the Imperial Tutor to assume the position of Alliance Leader. The Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor rose, walked into the hall, and bowed to Yi Xiaoyao. I invite the Imperial Tutor to assume the position of Alliance Leader. I invite the Imperial Tutor to assume the position of Alliance Leader. Zhu Jiyan, the Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor, the Sinful Saint, the Old Heavenly Master, and others all spoke up, their expressions extremely solemn. Now that the Great War was imminent, the Righteous Path Alliance absolutely needed a voice to preside over the overall situation. Before Yi Xiaoyao entered the Quasi-Emperor realm, his cultivation was insufficient, making it difficult for him to shoulder such a great responsibility. But now it was different, having entered the Quasi-Emperor realm, and with Yi Xiaoyao possessing a reputation beyond reach. Only he had the qualifications to sit in the position of supreme ruler of the entire righteous path. I can. Yi Xiaoyao did not refuse, slowly climbing the steps and sitting on the throne prepared by the Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor. Looking around, the saints and gods below submitted. At this moment, Yi Xiaoyao's status had reached its peak. Tell me, where has the demonic alliance advanced? Yi Xiaoyao directly tapped the railing, his face expressionless. The Demon Alliance has besieged Crane Continent, Phoenix Continent, and Marsh Continent, advancing into Willow Continent, and then crossing another province, heading straight for the center of my Ba Continent. The Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor clasped his hands, his expression grim. Just after conquering Marsh Continent, it was seized again. And now Crane Continent and Phoenix Continent are also lost. The Demon Alliance's speed is too fast. This is clearly an attempt to directly attack the Emperor's territory. A swift and decisive victory. How many demon cultivators are there? Yi Xiaoyao asked, his expression unchanged. 10 million, as numerous as a forest. Oh, it seems the Demon Alliance is truly ruthless. Aren't they afraid that all 10 million elites will be buried here? Yi Xiaoyao sneered. There are over 100 million demon cultivators, but the truly top-tier elites number only 10 million. The rest are mere insignificant figures, not worth mentioning. With these elites dead, the demonic Tao will be fundamentally crippled. It will take thousands of years to recover. The ancient Dragon Clan, the ancient God Clan, the Qiangqi, and the Xingqian, the 4 great ancient imperial clans have mobilized numerous ancient beings to invade our righteous territory. Besides that, there are also some subordinate clans, such as the Divine Monkey Clan, the Primordial Spirit Clan, and the Purple Ling Clan. The Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor's expression grew even more serious as he spoke shocking words. What? When did this news come about? The Sinful Saints and others suddenly changed their expressions. Even the several Quasi-Emperors were shocked, completely unaware of this news. Yesterday, the ancient race's spies sent back the news, the Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor said in a low voice. He was in charge of intelligence within the Righteous Tao Alliance, and the Righteous Tao Alliance had spies and agents dispatched throughout the Kangyuan realm. Damn it! These guys are throwing stones into the well. They want to take advantage of the situation to exploit our Righteous Path Alliance and get a share of the spoils. Do they really think our Righteous Path Alliance is easy to bully? The saints all spoke up, some angry, some worried, some cursing loudly. It wasn't an isolated incident. Everyone was unable to remain calm. With 4 or 5 million cultivators of the righteous path facing tens of millions of troops of the demonic path, they still had some confidence in reversing the course of the battle. But now that the 4 great ancient imperial clans were involved, even the Righteous Path Alliance, no matter how powerful, couldn't stop so many strong cultivators from invading. The hall was in chaos, with many worried and uneasy. Yi Xiaoyao too frowned, closing his eyes in deep thought. Wouldn't it be better for the ancient races to sit back and reap the benefits of a battle between the righteous and demonic paths? Why are they so eager to join forces with the demonic path to attack our righteous path? Yishaya always felt something was off. He took out 3 coins, casually tossed one, and frowned, scrutinizing it. After a moment, his brows furrowed even tighter. Great witch god! That old man is indeed not dead. Yishaya narrowed his eyes, his gaze flickering. At this moment, several pairs of eyes turned towards him. How should we handle this? The killing sword Quasi-Emperor said solemnly. Yishaya had become the leader and needed to be decisive and resolute. On the ancient race side, the second master will lead 1 million troops to intercept them, and on the demonic Dao side, I will lead 3 million troops to meet them. Yishaya stated directly. This, of course, the ancient race on the other side is self-evident. The eternal life ancestor can hold them off for a short while, but it's hard to say about the demonic path, the heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor said hesitantly. If things go wrong, this war could be the end of the righteous path. 3 million against 10 million. The odds of winning are too low. This isn't a reconnaissance mission by the demonic path to attack the city. Those are just low-level cultivators. This 10 million, whether in weapons, formations, divine abilities, or elixirs, are all exquisite a true king's army. But is there a better plan? Zhu Jiyan asked expectantly, hoping Yishaya could come up with a solution. A head-on confrontation is like trying to fight a rock with an egg. No, in the face of absolute power, any plan is useless. Yishaya shook his head. This kind of thing doesn't fit the art of war or 36 stratagems. Like the pulling the rug out from under stratagem. The books are all stored in my storage bag. What kind of firewood are we going to use? Zhu Jiyan's eyes widened, and he smiled bitterly. He was the highest leader of the Sun and Moon Palace. If all his disciples were buried in the war between good and evil, he would be a sinner for all eternity. The others nodded, feeling that caution was still necessary. It's all right, since the demonic alliance is so arrogant, wanting to launch a lightning attack and wipe out our righteous path in one fell swoop, then let them come but never return. Yishaya said with a cold smile, and let them experience the fear that Emo has. Having achieved a level of Quasi-Emperor, his combat power had reached a high level, and his foundation in creating techniques was unimaginably profound. On the battlefield, he countered every move, can't defeat the heavenly demon sect. He created a pile of glittering golden light to counter the demonic energy. Why not use formations and combined attack techniques? Afraid of the ancient god sect's swarm of ancient insects? Create an antiseptic technique, you won't die. Besides, I also possess a powerful weapon of mass destruction. I began researching it 10 years ago, and after such a long time, I finally achieved some success. Yishaya narrowed his eyes and curled his lips into a cold smile. War represents death, and the death of righteous cultivators is inevitable. He directly unleashed a heaven-defying technique to transform it into a ghost. The killer might not kill you, but a vengeful ghost can always kill you. Yes. The saints heard this and speculated about what kind of great killing intent Yishaya was referring to. However, they didn't ask many questions and readily agreed. There was no other way now. They could only gamble. Many of them had cultivated Yishaya's techniques, and they were quite confident in this aspect. Then I will lead the troops to intercept the primordial race first. The eternal life ancestor looked at Yishaya with joy, then without hesitation led a group of saints, gathering the 9 great sacred lands and a few cultivators from major clans and sects, a total of 1 million. Like locusts emerging from a valley, they headed towards the primordial race's direction at dusk. Yishaya also assembled a large army of 3 million, almost the entire main force of the righteous path, heading straight for Liuzhou. Among them were over 20 quasi-emperors, and even emperors' sons. The lineup could be described as extremely luxurious. Under a bright moon and sparse stars, ship with the characters Taijuan painted on it stood on the deck. Yishaya gazing into the distance, his brow furrowed. Behind him were Zijin Gang, Zhao Zicheng, Wang Li, Su Miaoyan, Feng Che, and the other main disciples, along with Mo Xindo and 8 other saint sons. These saint sons, cultivating Yishaya's techniques, had all entered the saint realm. Little ancestor, don't worry, at most, we'll just die. Dying early means we'll be reborn sooner. Zijin Gang, with his imposing figure, looked utterly disappointed. His talent wasn't as great as Mo Xindo's, but he had also reached the peak of the Dao slaying realm. That's right. After years of cultivation, life and death are no longer a concern for me, Feng Cherry assured, laughing heartily, revealing his rabbit teeth. Feng Che had poured countless hours into this technique. He had already surpassed Yi Xiaoyao's, establishing his own unique style in the iron teeth and copper fangs technique. According to him, below the level of a saint, there was no one he could bite to death. Jia Zikang, Wang Li, and the Taijuan Saint Sun Mo Kingru also nodded, truly not caring about life and death. Having cultivated many techniques with Yi Xiaoyao, what kind of scene hadn't they seen? Yi Xiaoyao couldn't refute him, shaking his head repeatedly. After an unknown amount of time, countless flying ships landed on a desolate plain on the border of Liuzhou, setting up camp. Yi Xiaoyao descended from the deck, standing on the plain, gazing at the countless lights illuminating the area tens of thousands of miles away. Under the moonlight, buildings rose up, figures moving about, and demonic light blazed, clearly the demon Ming army. In front of a towering, pagoda-shaped building, more than 30 figures stood upright, facing Yi Xiaoyao from a distance, all displaying cold smiles. Each one possessed exceptionally powerful auras. They were all quasi-emperors. Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor, Underworld Yama Quasi-Emperor, Dream Marsh Great Dream Quasi-Emperor, Brahmin Transformation Crimson Quasi-Emperor, Asura Sex Old Asura. Hiss! They're all old monsters. Behind Yi Xiaoyao, the womanizing Saint Mo Sandao gasped, involuntarily gripping the long saber at his waist. A distance of tens of thousands of miles is not far for a saint, traversed in a few breaths. But for a quasi-emperor, it's a blink of an eye. These people have the advantage in numbers. Juju Yan's expression was solemn. At this quasi-emperor level, it's difficult to distinguish between equals. In most situations, one person can't do anything to the other, but the enemy's numbers were too great. A real battle was about to begin, and the righteous side inevitably lost several quasi-emperors. A grueling bloody battle indeed. At least in terms of high-end combat power, we're being suppressed. Killing Sword and Heavenly Punishment quasi-emperors were also shocked. The demonic path's foundation was too deep. However, they were ultimately quasi-emperors, so they weren't afraid. Heavenly Punishment, let the great Sage Shushan come out. I want to take a good look at how much ability this newly broken quasi-emperor actually possesses. The ancestor of the Taiyan Demon Palace, Zhuanyin, shouted from thousands of miles away, his eyes cold. His gaze swept across many high-ranking members of the righteous path, ignoring Yi Xiaoyao, searching for the figure of the great Sage Shushan. The great Sage Shushan, standing behind the crowd and directing his disciples to build fortifications, heard this and his face was filled with bewilderment. Quasi-Emperor, what did that have to do with him? He swallowed the genuine Yin God elixir, but how could he have broken through so quickly? Which fellow Taoist has entered the Quasi-Emperor realm? Do you dare to come out and meet me? Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor shouted, his eyes sharp, carrying an intense sense of oppression. Heavenly Demon Quasi-Emperor, the black-robed Old Lama, and many other powerful figures of the demonic Tao were also lurking in the Righteous Tao Alliance. Wanting to find that newly promoted Quasi-Emperor, they were curious to know who it was. The Heavenly Sage was the most likely candidate, followed by the Sinful Sage, but unfortunately, his divine sense was blocked by the Righteous Tao Alliance members, making it impossible to probe. And even his eyes couldn't see clearly, as every place was packed with people. The Righteous Tao Alliance's Quasi-Emperors and the demonic Tao Quasi-Emperors were locked in a standoff, a palpable tension filling the entire battlefield. In the empty darkness, a fierce wind swept through, chilling to the bone. You dare not! The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor roared. His gaze was still fixed on the patrol. He truly wanted to know who had swallowed his Taiyan Demon Palace's treasure, the Taiyan Divine Medicine. It's already dark, and you're still making a fuss. Do you have any sense of morality? Don't your neighbors need to sleep? We have a battle tomorrow. These scoundrels! Feng Che glared at Bing Yuan Quasi-Emperor, taking a step forward and shouting loudly. Bing Yuan Quasi-Emperor! How dare you! Zhuanyin ancestor's face turned purple with anger, glaring at Feng Che. Even a saint wasn't an ant, yet he dared to yell in front of them. In an instant, Feng Che felt as if he'd fallen into an ice pit. Mo Sandao immediately stepped forward, as they were thousands of miles apart and couldn't harm him. Everyone disperse. This man is mentally ill, spouting nonsense. Mo Sandao pushed Feng Che aside, hastily trying to mediate. Haha, worthy of being taught by Yiziyao. You have the guts of a god. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor said coldly, looking towards Yi Xiao. In this world, there aren't many cultivators who dare to be arrogant in front of a Quasi-Emperor. Just an ant. The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor wasn't angry either, glancing at Fengcha as if looking at a dead man, then suddenly looking at Yi Xiao. Kid, no matter who you steal the divine medicine for, who will become a Quasi-Emperor? In tomorrow's battle, you will find that all your efforts are in vain. He has just entered the Quasi-Emperor realm. How high can his combat power be? I will definitely eliminate him. His aura was like a mountain, his eyes icy cold. Then let's see if you have the ability to do so. Yi Xiao said calmly. Good. Tomorrow, the Righteous Path Alliance will be destroyed. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor turned and left, accompanied by other Quasi-Emperors. There was no point in this mutual probing with the Righteous Path, only tomorrow would reveal the truth. Very quickly, the heavenly demon and the various Quasi-Emperors of the sects convened a meeting to plan the war. The Righteous Path Alliance's strength is within expectations. Over 20 Quasi-Emperors isn't too many. We can certainly handle them, said the Brahmin Hue Hong Quasi-Emperor. Speaking with some confidence, he was skilled in speed, unmatched by anyone. The heavenly demon, the old Asura, and others nodded in agreement. They weren't worried about this aspect. It would be a joke if over 30 Quasi-Emperors couldn't defeat the Righteous Path Alliance's over 20 Quasi-Emperors. The most important thing is the war between the saints and the lower-level cultivators. To this day, we don't know exactly how those 30,000 demon cultivators died in the previous battle, or how the Righteous Path managed to achieve the Spirit Sphere annihilation. The old Lama in the black robe frowned and said, he still couldn't understand that point. He had previously used the reversing heaven and earth to return to the past technique, but the celestial mechanism was chaotic, yielding no results. It's either a high-level intervention or some kind of scheme, the heavenly demon said with a cold laugh. He didn't believe that those righteous cultivators, at the same level, could inharmoniously destroy 30,000 demon cultivators. No need to discuss it further. No matter what kind of conspiracy or trick it is, it will all be useless in the face of absolute power. Tomorrow, with the ancient formation and the demonic light great formation opening the way, all obstacles will be reduced to dust. Grandmother Zhuanian couldn't help but say, his face filled with murderous intent. Early the next morning, as the sun rose in the east, a sudden, deafening trumpet blast rang out. Above the vast wilderness, countless demonic cultivators gathered, forming a bizarre formation, charging towards the Righteous Path Alliance. Great Formation, activate! A great saint of the heavenly demon sect, holding a formation flag, roared loudly. His subordinate saints, spread across the land, commanded 1,000,000 troops, forming a colossal array of light that enveloped thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. As the light spread, the earth decayed, all things perished, even the rules of heaven and earth were eroded and torn apart. It was truly terrifying beyond measure. Kill these righteous cultivators, suck their blood, steal their women, charge. Kill, kill. Countless demonic cultivators' eyes were bloodshot, like runaway wild dogs, a terrifying sight. Is this the most powerful demonic light formation from the ancient era? Above the bunker, Jijirian's pupils narrowed. 1,000,000-strong army forming a formation is enough to suppress any great saint and can even devour life force and blood. Even tens of millions of cultivators would be instantly annihilated in front of such a formation. This is the most powerful demonic formation. Our divine sword Holy Land's innate sword formation can withstand it, but unfortunately, we don't have enough sword cultivators. The killing sword Quasi-Emperor explained to Yi Xiao with a solemn expression. The Righteous Path has a long history of powerful formations, but a formation of a few 100,000 people compared to 1,000,000-strong army, how could it possibly compare? They would likely be torn to shreds by the demonic light formation. Moreover, this 1,000,000-strong demonic light formation is only the vanguard. There are many more behind them. Without a doubt, within a day, all of them, these righteous cultivators, will be wiped out. Form a defensive formation. Yi Xiao stared at the demonic light formation and the 1,000,000 demonic cultivators, his eyes flashing as he continuously analyzed the situation, then immediately shouted loudly. The reason they hadn't immediately engaged in battle last night was to formulate a war strategy based on their opponent. Otherwise, charging forward would be nothing more than a disorganized rabble, no matter how powerful they were. Yes, 500,000 cultivators from the Righteous Path Alliance rushed forward, led by the Sin Saint, forming a formidable defensive wall. It's just a mayfly trying to shake a tree. Once the demonic light formation is unleashed, even a Quasi-Emperor would have to expend considerable effort to break through it. What will you use to stop it? The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor stood tall in the air, sneering coldly. The Demon Emperor, the Yama Emperor, and others narrowed their eyes, staring at Yi Xiaoyao, wanting to see how this guy would respond. A night had passed, and they had clearly figured out that Yi Xiaoyao was already the leader of the Righteous Path Alliance. It could be said that this was the lowest-ranking alliance leader. They still couldn't understand why someone who wasn't even a Quasi-Emperor had the qualifications to hold the position of alliance leader. Is that so? Then I'll give you a surprise. Yi Xiaoyao smiled faintly, gesturing with his hand. Ghost-back tattoos. Attack! The moment the demon army attacked, 500,000 disciples shouted in unison, small turtle tattoos appearing on their arms. A roar echoed, and immediately countless giant black turtles, like Russian cubes, piled up in front of the Righteous Path Alliance formation. Boom! Endless demonic light, like a heaven-shattering axe, fiercely struck the black turtle's shell above, rippling and surging, stubbornly resisting the corrosive demonic light. The earth cracked open, shockwave swept across the 8 deserts, and the demon army's advance came to a sudden halt. What the hell is this? Where did all these turtles come from? Damn, is this even possible? Some demon cultivators gaped in shock. They had considered countless ways to stop them, but none had anticipated this. They even saw the black turtle's head constantly moving, seemingly mocking them. What the hell? Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor's face twitched. Heavenly Demon and the others were also surprised, then roared, "Just a bunch of turtles, kill them all." He didn't believe these things could stop a million demon soldiers' iron hooves. This is a black turtle, understand? A bunch of ignorant trash, you are the turtles. 500,000 disciples shouted, feeling insulted. Their cultivation was low, they couldn't comprehend high-end products, like the black tortoise, so they could only retreat and seek other options, like the black tortoise's cousin, the black turtle. The turtle shell's defense was unique in the world, capable of holding them off for a short while. Charge! Crush these turtles! Go! A million demon soldiers, enraged, gathered together, terrifying demonic light obscuring the sky, even more dazzling, continuously impacting the black turtle shell city wall. Stop them! Yi Xiaoyao's face was expressionless, the light of deduction in his eyes intensified. Is your method reliable? Based on the demonic light formation and the demon soldiers, you're creating a divine ability at the last minute? Zhu Jiyan hesitated, feeling it was unreliable. This is Yi Xiaoyao's strategic plan, to buy time with defensive techniques, and then create divine abilities based on the battle situation. It sounds pretty good at first, but in reality, the difficulty is too great. Others take at least hundreds of years to create a divine ability, and you just do it on demand. And it's a targeted divine ability. This is too unbelievable. Moreover, even if you create one, your disciples won't have time to cultivate it. If you keep creating without achieving anything, we'll just keep being passively attacked, won't we? The Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor also frowned, looking at the crumbling pile of black turtle shells, obviously unable to hold out for much longer. After all, the demonic light formation is one of the few offensive formations in the demonic path. The other Quasi-Emperors also remained silent. In their opinion, no matter how amazing Yi Xiaoyao was, it would still take him a day to create a divine ability. Ding, you observed the demonic light formation, deeply studied a million demonic cultivators, and achieved great enlightenment. You have created the fusion technique. Fusion technique, a special combined attack secret technique that can perform multi-person fusion, with no limit on the number. The more people, the stronger the fused person. It has no cultivation difficulty. The only side effect is that after the fusion is complete, mental disorder easily occurs. The more fusions performed, the more mental disorder occurs, and the greater the danger of physical body exchange. Yi Xiaoyao revealed a smile, but it quickly froze. Physical body exchange? Does that mean that after the fusion is complete, Zhang San's soul easily enters Li Xi's body, and Li Xi's soul enters Zhang San's body? Yi Xiaoyao was astonished and speechless. This reminded him of those melodramatic male-female body-swapping TV dramas he had seen in his previous life. Damn! What failure! Beside the heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor, seeing Yi Xiaoyao's unusual expression, he immediately asked. The others were also full of tension, but still reassured him, saying, failure doesn't matter. After all, no one can create a cultivation technique just by saying so. Let's use the second plan. Facing the demonic army, they couldn't possibly place all their hope on Yi Xiaoyao. They had already formulated many alternative plans last night. Success! Yi Xiaoyao cleared his throat, not bothering with much else, and spread his divine consciousness, imparting the fusion technique to over 2 million cultivators of the Righteous Path Alliance. Like a shower of light, countless disciples behind the turtle-shaped city wall were invigorated, their expressions filled with joy. The leader is awesome, absolutely amazing. This combined attack technique was created so easily. This talent is incredibly terrifying. The key is that it's not difficult to cultivate. It can be called the simplest divine ability. But something strange. Damn, the fusion process easily results in body swapping. My waist is wrapped around, as hard as iron. How could I swap bodies with someone else? I have no problem. For the Righteous Path Alliance, for justice, I'll cultivate. Bah, you short, weak, impotent bastard. You wish you could swap bodies with someone else. Countless disciples, some joyful, some sorrowful, some with faces full of humiliation like a single, identical image, finally, with twisted expressions, gritted their teeth and cultivated. For victory, there was no other way. Cultivation successful? This secret technique wasn't difficult to cultivate, only the execution was extremely challenging. Such is how the main practitioner controlled it. This required a profound understanding of the laws of heaven and earth and the vital energy. In the end, not even a single incense stick's worth of time was needed. The army had completed its cultivation. Great Saint Xiangguang, lead the way. 100,000 people. Begin the fusion. Yi Xiaoyao shouted. What kind of army formation could possibly compare to the tightness and power of the fusion? Meanwhile, the black turtle wall in front of the formation could no longer withstand the onslaught of demonic light. As the demonic light continuously invaded and attacked, the turtle shell cracked, gradually becoming unstable. Behind them, the disciples of the Righteous Path Alliance also had blood gushing from their mouths. A mere trick. It will only get you beaten by divine abilities. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor, seeing this, sneered coldly, not even bothering to look at it. He had been observing for a long time, thinking this black turtle shell might possess some power, but in reality, apart from strong defensive capabilities, it had absolutely no offensive potential. He could easily grind this pile of black turtle shells to death. Yi Xiaoyao, you command the cultivators of the Righteous Path Alliance. If you only have this much skill, then today, you will all be buried here. The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor coldly snorted, quickly stepping forward, ready to strike at any moment and devour Yi Xiaoyao alive. He had investigated last night and hadn't seen the Eternal Life Ancestor. In other words, as long as he could stop the killing sword, heavenly punishment, and heavenly mechanism Quasi-Emperors, he could capture Yi Xiaoyao alive. Without the Eternal Life Ancestor's protection, Yi Xiaoyao was nothing. Unfortunately, for him to command tens of thousands of troops, he's ultimately just a young man. Where does he have the ability to command troops? If it were the killing sword Quasi-Emperor commanding the army, using the sword formation to block them, there might still be hope of holding them off for a moment. But now, haha. Yama Quasi-Emperor scoffed. He knew the overall strength of the Righteous Path Alliance. Although not equal to the Demonic Path Army, it wasn't weak either. To let a mere youngster, with no war experience whatsoever, claim to be the commander was incredibly foolish. Completely break through this turtle shell, kill your way in. Zhuanyin Quasi-Emperor was no longer patient, roaring loudly. He was ready to engage in a bloody battle with the Righteous Path Quasi-Emperor at any moment. Boom! With each roar and the incessant cracking and shattering, the turtle shell great wall declared its collapse. Each righteous cultivator vomited blood and flew backward, the small turtle tattoos on their arms oozing blood, their aura instantly fading. Ha ha ha, finally, we've broken through this turtle shell. Kill them. With the blood of the Righteous Path, we will forge our path to enlightenment. Seeing the first line of defense of the Righteous Path crumble, 1 million demonic cultivators immediately became excited, their eyes blazing red. Holding formations and flags, they condensed into an overwhelming demonic light. Like a sword, it pierced straight through the pillars of the righteous army, intending to tear them apart. Behind the demonic light formation, even more demonic cultivators followed, each one ruthless and bloodthirsty, swarming like carp across a river. The blood, flesh, souls, and even cultivation of the righteous path were all at stake. For these demonic cultivators, these were all top-grade offerings, capable of increasing cultivation and providing great nourishment. This was the biggest reason for the repeated defeats of the righteous path over the years. Combined attack technique, open. However, just as the endless demonic cultivators were excitedly celebrating, figures from the righteous path's army soared into the air, layer upon layer, like stacked wood, instantly forming a colossal giant. 2,000 people joined together like jigsaw puzzles, forming the right arm, and another 2,000 formed the left arm. The body was made up of 20,000 people, some even folded into internal organs, a head to legs to feet. Even the lower body was represented by a sturdy, muscular man with two coiled, spherical figures hanging below. Holy cow, this is shocking, I swear. What the hell? I'm speechless. What is this thing? Countless demonic cultivators, their excited growls abruptly silenced, like ducks with their necks squeezed. They stopped in their tracks, staring in shock at this scene, questioning their very existence. 10,000 people seemed normal, but when they were pressed together to form a giant, it was incredibly abnormal. It could even be described as terrifying. More horrifying than a vengeful ghost. Is this a formation, or a divine ability, a combined attack technique? Even the heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor felt a chill run down his spine. This monstrous giant was truly eye-splitting. Moreover, an overwhelming aura was gathering on that giant's body, its power approaching that of a Quasi-Emperor. This is truly a cursed day. Is this a combined attack technique? The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor's eyes nearly popped out, calling it a monstrous anomaly. Combined attack techniques, mostly involving several people joining forces to unleash the same divine power, are the most brutal combined attack techniques of the demonic Tao. Sacrificing their lives to unleash a devastating blow, such as sword light or demonic light. They were originally thought to be the most bizarre and brutal in the world, but compared to what they were seeing now, they seemed insignificant. Hiss, I'll gladly call this the most vicious technique created by the sect leader. The old heavenly master's eyes widened slightly, and he gasped in shock. Even monstrous wasn't enough to describe it. The killing sword Quasi-Emperor, Jujian, and others were even more terrified, staring at the densely packed heads above, truly frightened by this jigsaw giant. Naturally, it's a combined attack technique, called a combined body, or it can also be called the more risk technique. Yishao said calmly, his composure evident. More risk, the stronger, the more risk, the stronger. The only drawback is that it requires an extremely powerful controlling force, and 100,000 people is the limit of what the great Sage Zhongguang can control. Is this even a human? Grandmother Zhuanyan angrily cursed, feeling that this person was insulting his intelligence. Who are you saying isn't human? Repeat that again. You want to die, Grandmother Zhuanyan? I've disliked you for a long time. Come here and fight. You're the one who's not human. Your whole family isn't human. Countless heads popped out from the 10,000-foot giant, angrily shouting at Grandmother Zhuanyan. Even the burly men who claimed to be the things under his waist spoke up, furious. They felt insulted. Hehiat, tremble, demonic cultivators. Claiming to be a brain cell, the dominant giant, the great Sage Zhongguang, laughed sinisterly. 100 people, their mouths constantly opening and closing, terrified onlookers. Damn it, who's the real demon cultivator? The demon disciples within the demon light formation were terrified, watching in horror. Kill this monster. I don't believe he can withstand the demon light formation. Vingyuan Quasi-Emperor roared. Boom! 1,000,000 demon cultivators roared. A terrifying demonic light shot out from the center, like the light of the night, crushing the sky and directly striking the giant's head. Die! The great Sage Zhongguang roared, throwing out his fists. The void exploded, the demonic light was shattered into nothingness, and the earth was blasted into a great canyon. Inside the demon light formation, thousands of demon cultivators turned pale, spitting blood, and died from the backlash. Damn, the combined power of 100,000 people is truly terrifying. The immense true essence is unimaginable, pushing the power laws of the great sage Zhangguang to their peak, even imbuing them with other laws. The heavenly punishment quasi-emperor trembled, understanding the underlying principle. The demonic light formation is the convergence of the power of 1,000,000 people, so it's very strong, but the convergence isn't thorough enough, and the power is very dispersed. Although its power is close to that of a quasi-emperor, it has too many weaknesses, with many weak points in the formation. But this giant is different. The power is perfectly blended, 100,000 people possessing almost infinitely close to quasi-emperor strength, yet without any weaknesses. How is this possible? What kind of combined attack technique did that dog Yi Xiaoyao create? The heavenly demon quasi-emperor also trembled, his face instantly filled with boundless killing intent. This demonic thing is the most terrifying war machine in the world. It must be destroyed. And Yi Xiaoyao must die too. Creating such a simple thing is insane. 10,000 people gathered in one place were already so powerful. What would 1,000,000 or 10,000,000 people combine to form a giant be like? He didn't dare think about it. But before they even made a move, with each loud shout, another 10,000-foot-tall giant formed. Then one after another, in an instant, the 3,000,000 soldiers of the Righteous Path Alliance combined to form 30 giants. The demonic cultivators exclaimed, "Holy cow, how can there be so many?" A demonic path saint panicked, involuntarily retreating, and the momentum of the demonic light formation also abruptly stopped. One giant was already so powerful, approaching the level of a quasi-emperor. How terrifying would the destructive power of 30 combined be? Hee! Boom! Two suffocating roars echoed, two enormous fists brutally tore two large holes in the demonic light formation, and large numbers of demonic cultivators coughed up blood and fell to the ground, their faces filled with terror. Then, two gigantic figures let out terrifying, grotesque laughter, rushed through the holes into the formation, and unleashed a massacre. Blood and shredded flesh splattered everywhere, yet they remained unharmed despite the endless demonic light attacks. Ah! Inside the formation, the ferocious demonic cultivators were now like little lambs, their screams of agony echoing continuously. "Tremble, demonic Tao, we are invincible! Ha ha ha!" The other 28 giants let out bursts of maniacal laughter, their countless faces displaying ferocious grins, making them look utterly terrifying. They charged into the demon light formation, a formation that could be called the #1 formation under the Great Emperor formation. But at this moment it appeared weak and unable to withstand the rampage of these monsters. In an instant, the demon light formation was broken, and 400,000 people were either trampled to death or crushed to death, their agonizing screams echoing incessantly. "Yi Xiaoyao, may your ancestors be cursed!" The heavenly demon quasi-emperor's eyes turned bloodshot, and he roared in anger. He finally understood why Yi Xiaoyao, not a quasi-emperor, was nominated as the leader of the Righteous Path Alliance. His ability to create divine techniques was terrifying. In just a short moment, he had created a combined attack technique that changed the course of the battle. The heavenly demon quasi-emperor's hearts were bleeding. The formation contained many elites of the heavenly demon sect, future pillars of the army, and yet so many had died in an instant. Open the Great Emperor demonic Cha formation. "Kill these monsters for me," the heavenly demon quasi-emperor roared. Yes! Another 5,000,000 demonic cultivators gathered, forming a humanoid formation, each holding a formation flag in their hands. The magical light from the battle flag above converged, uniting 5,000,000 people into a single line. "Sir!" The heavens and earth collapsed, demonic energy surged up, instantly condensing into a towering, earth-shattering demonic figure. Its colossal size made even the 10,000-foot-tall giants of the Righteous Path seem insignificant, like ants. The demonic energy Great Emperor formation, a formation created by the first Great Emperor of the Heavenly Demon Sect. Legend says it can withstand Great Emperor attacks and instantly kill quasi-emperors. Zhu Jiuyan's expression suddenly changed, a crack opening in his forehead as he prepared to strike. The demonic energy Great Emperor formation before him, although not presided over by a Great Emperor and not as extraordinary as the legends claimed, was certainly not weak. Capable of confronting a quasi-emperor. A person approaching the quasi-emperor level, though not a true quasi-emperor, how could they possibly be his match? "It's all right." Yi Xiaoyao waved his hand, ordering everyone retreat. Yes, 30 giants trembled, not daring to disobey, and immediately retreated to stand before Yi Xiaoyao. At this moment, they revered Yi Xiaoyao to the extreme. He had casually created a combined attack technique that could break through the demonic light formation, so they obeyed his commands unconditionally. Yi Xiaoyao, is it too late to retreat now? No matter what, I must kill you today, even if all 10 million demon cultivators are buried here. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor roared. Yi Xiaoyao's threat far exceeded everyone's expectations. He could create heaven-defying divine abilities and had the ability to change the course of the battle. If he didn't die, even if the demonic Dao won, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. Chen Buwang, it's your turn. Yi Xiaoyao glanced at the 10,000 Taizhuan disciples beside him. These were all patients from the Taizhuan Mental Hospital. The previous attack on Jizhou was only a small fraction. Having witnessed the Battle of Zekyu, he discovered the formidable power of the mentally ill. After plundering the Taiyan Demon Palace, he created various divine abilities and combined attack techniques for this mentally ill army, even inviting the 9-star breastfeeding divine body to join. Why? To counter the current Great Emperor formation. Yes. Chen Nangshuan nodded, his face suddenly filled with arrogance. He tossed his hair and said profoundly, showing off is like the wind, always accompanying me. After saying that, he applied makeup to his face, revealing a seductive, perverted smile. Then, leading 10,000 mentally ill patients in patient clothes, he charged towards the Great Emperor formation where 5 million people were gathered. Among them, surprisingly, was the life force divine body known as 9-star breastfeeding. Lord, what is this? Zhu Jiyan was somewhat bewildered, his face full of disbelief. This was no joke, 10,000 people against 5 million demon cultivators. Is it still the Great Emperor's formation? The Swordslayer, the Heavenly Punishment Quasi-Emperor, and others stared blankly at Yi Xiaoyao, not knowing what kind of trick their leader was playing. They couldn't possibly let these people die, could they? 10,000 people would vanish into thin air in an instant. Leader, you should explain the situation. 10,000 people, no matter how defying the heavens, cannot possibly defeat 5 million troops, especially a Great Emperor formation. Sinful Saint swallowed hard, his palms sweating. Not to mention Chen Nangshuan and his group. Even a Quasi-Emperor wouldn't dare claim to survive. A Great Emperor formation is a truly powerful formation capable of resisting, or even killing, the strongest Quasi-Emperors. Just wait and see, Yi Xiaoyao said with a faint smile, waving his hand. Meanwhile, the Demon Alliance was wide-eyed. They couldn't understand. They truly couldn't understand. What exactly is Yi Xiaoyao doing? The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor's expression was grim. He didn't even bother to look at these 10,000 people, but he truly couldn't understand Yi Xiaoyao's actions. It could be said that the other party was the most incomprehensible person he had encountered in his 7,000 years of life. He hated this feeling. No matter what, I don't believe that these 10,000 ants can stop the Great Emperor's formation from crushing me. It's simply ridiculous. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor's face was ferocious as he waved his hand. Crush these brats for me. All troops attack, crush them. The Yama Quasi-Emperor narrowed his eyes and shouted loudly, his gaze only briefly sweeping over the 10,000 people without lingering. He was wondering if Yi Xiaoyao intended to feign an attack. These people were just cannon fodder. The real killing intent came from other directions. Kill! Holding the gigantic demonic Dao formation array in his hand, the great sage roared, his eyes devoid of emotion. 5 million troops stomped the earth, shaking the 8 deserts, unleashing a colossal, mountain-like demonic shadow that pressed down upon the 10,000 people. Hehe! Chen Nangshuan was stunned, staring intently at a handsome young man within the formation, suddenly giggling foolishly, muttering to himself, so handsome, I want to be that handsome too. He took out a scalpel, and as if looking at a makeup mirror, peeled off the skin from his face, revealing the blood-red flesh. Then, Chen Nangshuan seriously used the knife to scrape off the skin in his hand, and after scraping it off, he used needles to stitch up the wound. I'm also that handsome, heh. Chen Nangshuan excitedly said to himself, attaching the sewn-up skin to his face. Just then, the face of that person had transformed into the appearance of a handsome young man. Even his aura was the same, the only difference being that his face was covered in tiny stitches. Looking at him was chilling. Damn, is this guy out of his mind? Why did he transform into my form? Even the handsome young man in the demonic Chia formation was stunned, cursing loudly, and simultaneously a layer of goosebumps appeared on his body. The sheer horror was beyond words. It's not just him. Someone beside then, everyone saw 10,000 Taijuan disciples, one after another, draw their knives, peel off the skin from their faces, meticulously carve and sew it back on. The wounds were densely stitched up, a shocking sight. Their appearance was surprisingly similar to some of the demonic cultivators within the Great Formation. Hiss! Could this be the skin peeling and facial transformation technique that the previous group created? Little Diamond's eyelids twitched wildly as he exclaimed in shock. The several quasi-emperors beside him were stunned, their eyes widening in disbelief. They had all experienced the brutality of the demonic path, but compared to this, it seemed insignificant. Who had ever seen skin peeling of someone being skinned alive? This is a secret technique that can change the world, transforming one's appearance into anyone or anything in the world. It's even more powerful than the painted skin transformation technique, possessing the ability to deceive the heavens and cross the seas. The most powerful is this secret technique, which can not only transform the entire face, but also completely reshape the body, turning a person into a demonic beast or a stone. Identical from the inside out. Little Diamond explained. Transform into a demonic beast. Can it transform into a cow? Beside him, Zhang Bar, the Yin-Yang Saint's son who had just emerged from the laboratory, exclaimed in astonishment, his excitement rising. The Taijuan Saint's son, Zhao Zicheng, and others looked at him with unchanging expressions. Then, a scene that shocked everyone unfolded. They saw that the 10,000 people advancing, the surging demonic shadows actually bypassed them, and with a loud bang, crushed the ground behind them, creating a towering crater. Ha ha, my Taoist master is immortal. Little darling, let me go. 10,000 Taijuan cultivators, some excited, some dazed, wielding large cleavers, nimbly rushed towards the demonic emperor formation, without hesitation, fiercely stabbing into the demonic shadows. Then, strangely, they passed through, entering the formation and appearing before the 5 million demonic cultivators. Hiss! Holy cow! Alliance leader, what kind of divine ability have you created? The killing sword quasi-emperor was stunned, his voice trembling. The formation was powerful enough to suppress quasi-emperor, yet it was ineffective against Chen Nangshuan and his group. Throughout the entire ancient history of the Kingyuan realm, there has never been such a precedent. It's too illogical. I understand now. This is a change in aura matching the formation flag held by the demonic cultivators within the formation. The Great Formation can no longer distinguish friend from foe. Zhu Jiyan suddenly understood, looking at Yi Xiaoyao and praising him loudly. A genius? 5 million people setting up the Great Emperor Formation is like a machine, only able to operate according to its own rules. Furthermore, since it's not personally controlled by the Great Emperor, others simply cannot perfectly manipulate it, making the Great Formation indistinguishable from friend. In other words, according to Mo Ying, Chen Nangshuan is one of them. What kind of monstrous creatures are they? The demonic side was also astonished, roaring in disbelief, finding it very strange. Suppress and kill them. The heavenly demon quasi-emperor was even more enraged. This was truly a humiliation for their heavenly demon sect's Great Emperor Formation. If a formation of 5 million people could be easily broken by 10,000, then the heavenly demon sect would become the laughingstock of the world. Die! Among the 5 million demon cultivators, 100,000 held formation flags in their hands, angrily charging out and directly attacking Chen Nangshuan and his group within the formation. They couldn't deal with the formation, but they could. They didn't believe that so many people couldn't kill these lunatics. Hehe, what a huge pig! Led by Chen Nangshuan, tens of thousands of people simultaneously emitted a strange aura that made people tremble. So many pigs. Fun, so much fun. Cackle, cackle, cackle. Taijuan and his group of lunatics clapped their hands, excitedly. You're the pig, your whole family are pigs. Mother, I can't stand it anymore. I must kill these bastards. 100,000 demonic cultivators roared, their faces incredibly ferocious. They harbored an extreme hatred for these deranged individuals. You can't imagine what it feels like to face a group of psychopaths. Snoring, snoring. At this moment, a strange aura enveloped the surroundings. The demonic cultivators at the forefront began to transform, gradually changing their appearance. They directly turned into plump, white, big-eared pigs. The squealing of the pigs was incessant, extremely comical. But in the eyes of the millions of demonic cultivators behind them, it was an unprecedented shock. Ah, this! The righteous Path's Grand Master stared in disbelief, rubbing his eyes vigorously, seemingly doubting if he had seen wrong. But looking again, the formation was still filled with a bunch of fat pigs, their numbers increasing. Little Ancestor created a sacred technique, the art of turning stone into gold. Little Diamond stammered. This technique was extremely bizarre. It could turn people into pigs, in a sense a killing technique, trapping their cultivation and power within a pig's body, making them a piece of meat on a chopping block, ready to be slaughtered at will. Holy cow, you call this thing turning stone into gold? Longy Ocean's jaw almost dropped to the ground in shock. Wasn't that a bit too illogical? Fortunately, I abandoned evil and followed righteousness. I could offend anyone but Yi Xiao. Zhang Bar beside him frantically wiped away cold sweat. The more he understood Yi Xiao, the more he realized how twisted this person's mind truly was. This devilish beast could even create such a divine ability. Horrifying, absolutely terrifying. Even the peak-level powerhouses like the Sword-Slaying Quasi-Emperor and the Heaven Punishment Quasi-Emperor were left speechless, unconsciously distancing themselves from Yi Xiao. Let's celebrate the new year. Let's slaughter a pig. I want a pig's head. Sell it for a good price. Chen Ningxuan pulled out his pig slaughtering knife, gleefully grabbed a sow transformed into a demonic cultivator, and with a whoosh, chopped off its head. Roar, roar. The sow leapt and jumped, its head rolling to the side, its eyes filled with terror, not yet dead. The other pigs, however, retreated in fear, unable to speak, unable to use their cultivation, their souls unable to leave their bodies, as if everything was trapped under this pig's skin. Snoring, snoring. Some high cultivation pigs leapt and jumped, trying to break free from their restraints and escape their bodies. But it was all useless. 10,000 mentally ill individuals under his command could even seal off a saint. Boom! Inside the demonic energy formation, a Saint King with a cold expression directly attacked, a great halberd like a heaven-splitting sword suddenly piercing through Chen Ningxuan. However, strangely, Chen Ningxuan was like a ghost, the halberd passing right through him. What? The Saint King's expression suddenly changed, as if he had encountered a ghost, and he couldn't help but be terrified. Are these guys human or ghost? Am I crazy? Or is this world crazy? I must be dreaming. Yes. Ha ha ha. I'm dreaming. Others also attacked, but many attacks landed on the 10,000 people. They all just go right through, and nothing works. Millions of demonic cultivators were stunned, some experiencing a chaotic and devastating shock that sent shivers down their spines. What kind of monsters has Yi Xiao trained? How is this possible? The heavenly demon, the ice origin, and the Xuanyin ancestor were all deeply shaken, simply unable to believe it. They seemed to have greatly underestimated the fighting power of the Righteous Path Alliance. It was too bizarre. At this moment, they finally understood why the Righteous Path Alliance suffered such heavy losses in the previous Battle of Zizhou. This was unbeatable. Great Nine Stars saved 10,000 pigs from fire and water. May hell be free from sickness and pain. Among the deranged group, the 9-star life god, with both hands raised to the sky, stood in the void, radiating life force light, showering down upon the earth, showering the 100,000 pigs. Damn it, you pig teammate, this is the strongest milk. Yet it's milking those pigs, and those are all enemies. 9-star, what are you doing? Inside the Righteous Path Alliance, the old heavenly master shouted, furious. The others were also wide-eyed, utterly bewildered. But a second later, wherever the light rain fell, those pigs collapsed, their faces serene, foaming at the mouth as they died. A large number died at once, in the blink of an eye. 100,000 pigs were killed by the milk. This milk is poisonous. The life-giving divine body, a powerful life force, possesses healing abilities. This is a well-known special physique. Those who have achieved a life-giving divine body through legend can resurrect corpses that have recently died. Throughout the ages, this has almost become a universally accepted understanding in the cultivation world. But now, what a poisonous milk! What kind of saintly law has this guy demonstrated? And how is this possible? The life-giving divine body is clearly a healing divine body. How can it poison people to death? Grandmother Xuanyin was deeply moved, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. Any cultivator who came into contact with this light-emitting milk would turn purple in less than 3 seconds, and in less than 5 seconds, their hair would rot and turn black. Its toxicity was so potent that even several saints were severely injured, falling to the ground in agony. May hell be free from pain. The 9-star milk, still in the void, blamed heaven for pitying the people and the group of demon cultivators who were obsessed with milk. Hearing this, many demon cultivators' faces turned pale. Under your treatment, each one is more painful than the last, and the damage is on a large scale, even more terrifying than a formation. Put up defensive shields, block those light beams. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor shouted, his face ashen. In an instant, tens of thousands of people had been killed by the milk. It was simply insane. Within the formation, many demon cultivators scrambled to put up defensive shields, but those light beams directly penetrated them, poisoning and killing a large number of people. It was Chen Nangshuan who had intervened, using the strange aura formed by tens of thousands of people to give the light beams the ability to penetrate the defenses. Truly terrifying, the ancestor once said that the life force divine body is the strongest killing physique and should be properly cultivated. I didn't expect that after cultivating it for a while, it would have such terrifying toxicity. Little Diamond took a deep breath, his whole body trembling. What, this poisonous milk? Was it modified by Yi Xiao? The old heavenly master was greatly shocked and couldn't help but glance at the usually calm Yi Xiao. He really didn't understand. As for the killing sword Quasi-Emperor, he rarely showed a look of admiration. Even milk with no destructive power could be trained into a pervert. No one else could. Now we can counterattack, kill. Seeing that the demonic Great Emperor's formation was in chaos, riddled with flaws, Yi Xiao didn't hesitate any longer and coldly shouted, yes! 30 giants rushed forward like runaway horses, fiercely charging into the demonic Great Emperor's formation. The demonic shadow, having already become transparent due to the numerous casualties among the demonic cultivators, had its aura infinitely weakened. Crack! The phantom image shattered, and 30 giants entered the battle and unleashed a massacre. Ahar! With a loud crash, the giants stomped thousands of demon cultivators to death with a single kick, charging into the midst of 5 million demon cultivators like a tiger among sheep. Blood gushed from its wake, flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and casualties were heavy. Hee. The great Saint Zhangguang let out a wicked laugh, manipulating the giant and casually crushing several Saint Kings. In an instant, screams of terror shook the heavens, and the demonic path began to crumble, unable to stop it. This was equivalent to more than 30 half-step Quasi-Emperors slaughtering the crowd. Without a powerful formation, even a great saint couldn't stop them. How terrifying! The demon cultivators behind, witnessing this, were filled with fear and despair, not daring to advance. Damn it, Yi Xiao! The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor roared in anger, his hatred for Yi Xiao simply reaching its peak. If it weren't for this guy's layered schemes, continuously breaking their formations, the Righteous Path Alliance would have been completely annihilated by now, suffering heavy casualties. Boom! He finally made his move, his entire body surging with demonic energy like Volf smoke, transforming into a colossal hand thousands of feet long, fiercely grabbing at those giants. The giants were ultimately not Quasi-Emperors, and could hardly withstand his attack. Fortunately, we Quasi-Emperors have enough numbers to change the course of the battle. Grandmother Zhuanyan's face was cold, and he also made his move, endless in energy enveloping the entire heaven and earth. The originally warm and spring-like weather instantly turned into bitter cold. Kill these giants, and the Righteous Path Alliance army will be wiped out. Then I want to see what other tricks this Yi Xiao has up his sleeve. In the ice plains, Yanluo Quasi-Emperor also had a face full of murderous intent, attacking the giants, wanting to annihilate them all in one fell swoop. In this war, the Quasi-Emperors are the deciding factor in the outcome. It's clear that the demonic Dao has more Quasi-Emperors than the righteous Dao, and regardless of how many demonic Dao disciples are killed or lost, the outcome will never change. The demonic Dao will win. The reason they only acted now was because they were waiting for the righteous Dao's trump card. In this situation, they couldn't wait any longer. What do we do? Over 30 Quasi-Emperors. The old heavenly master's face changed drastically as he looked at Yi Xiao. The other great saints also looked grim. The person they feared most couldn't wait any longer. Just the righteous Dao's more than 20 Quasi-Emperors were no match. People like Killing Sword and Zhu Jiyin weren't immortal ancestors. How could they possess such monstrous strength, capable of fighting 2 or 4 at once? Let's join forces to stop them. The 30 giants all raised their heads. His fist met the heavenly demon's attack. Crack! Thousands of people forming the right arm collapsed. Terrifying demonic light suppressed a giant, and those above fell to the ground. Some strength, but that's all. Combined attack techniques ultimately have a limit. The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor sneered, his killing intent deepening. Then he attacked again. The void collapsed, and thousands of Righteous Tao Alliance cultivators were crushed to death. I should have acted sooner. Crush the Righteous Tao Alliance. Today, I will exterminate everyone. The Yama Quasi-Emperor laughed maniacally, continuously forcing back and suppressing the giant. In an instant, 30 giants were overwhelmed, no match for him, and thousands more perished. If this continued, the 3 million Righteous Tao Alliance cultivators who had formed the giant would all die here. Use your ultimate attack. Today's decisive battle will eliminate all these tens of thousands of demonic cultivators. Yi Zhaoye's voice was cold as he made his decision. His body remained motionless as he gazed at the corpses of the dead demonic cultivators and the righteous cultivators, his eyes filled with bewilderment. He felt something was amiss. At this point, 2 million demonic cultivators had perished, leaving 8 million remaining. Good? The Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor nodded. Then Zhu Jiyin, Wu Guang Quasi-Emperor, and the leaders of the 9 great sacred lands all stepped forward. Then, before everyone's eyes, they began chanting the incantation. The sun sets over the western mountains. The sky darkens. Each house guards its gate. The main road is broken. The carriage runs. The small road is broken, making travel difficult. The magpie runs over the big tree. The sparrow rushes under the eaves. 9 out of 10 houses are locked. Only one house's door is not closed. Invoke the divine technique. Invite the Taijuan clan to descend. The heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor nodded smugly, stomped his foot, then suddenly pulled his head back, slowly raising it, revealing his profound eyes. At the same time, a heaven-shaking aura erupted. The heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor's skin cracked, seemingly unable to withstand it. Invite the Taijuan ancestor to possess you. Zhu Jiyin shouted, and suddenly a terrifying aura swept across the 8 deserts, suppressing even the saints, making them feel the urge to kneel. At the same time, the other 7 also invoked the gods to possess them. All of them invoked the Taijuan ancestor. Invoking gods, is this a time-traveling invocation of a divine being? The old heavenly master felt a sense of absurdity. He had only seen such rituals in folklore, and he never imagined that Yi Ziyao, being so defiant, would create one. But why invoke the Taijuan ancestor? This is also before the start of my Great War, when I created this divine ability. As for why I invited my grandfather, it was just to verify a hypothesis. Inviting other great emperors was impossible. The time gap is too great. Yi Shaya said slowly, looking at the 9 quasi-emperors who had successfully invited his grandfather, suddenly sighing inexplicably, feeling somewhat bewildered. Even the living cannot be invited, only the dead can. Grandfather, is he really dead? What, the Taijuan ancestor? All the demonic Tao quasi-emperors were shaken to their core, staring intensely at the 9 great quasi-emperors, as if they had seen a monstrous beast of a flood, their hair standing on end. The Taijuan ancestor, Tia Yuan, was the most terrifying supreme expert of the modern era. There was no second. Without even reaching the great emperor realm, he could easily kill his way back and forth through the dark forbidden zone. No one in the quasi-emperor realm was his match. If the 9 Taijuan ancestors joined forces, all 30 of them quasi-emperors would be dead. Boom! The heavenly punishment quasi-emperor's face was expressionless as he directly attacked, sweeping his hand across. Endless laws and heaven and earth's elemental energy shattered. As if in front of him, the so-called laws of heaven and earth were as fragile as thin paper. Emperor technique, great heavenly demon palm. The heavenly demon quasi-emperor panicked, surging demonic light converging into a towering black hand, clashing head-on with that hand. Bang! The heavenly demon quasi-emperor was struck as if by lightning, spitting out blood. His figure, like a kite with its string cut, sent cracks and fissures appearing across the entire Liuzhou land. With one strike, the outcome was decided. Zhu Jiyin also attacked, directly confronting the Zhuanyin ancestor, The Ice Origin Quasi-Emperor, and Li Huang, wielding the Sun and Moon Palace's Supreme Tao Emperor weapon, the Sun and Moon Ring. Rotating in all directions, the heavenly curtain was severed. Even the Ice Origin's Taiyan Demon Palace's Imperial Aura couldn't stop it. Their bodies were torn apart. Both the Zhuanyin ancestor and Li Huang were cut into 7 or 8 pieces by the Sun and Moon Ring, crushing them. Crack! The Killing Sword Quasi-Emperor, the Radiant Light Quasi-Emperor, and others also began to attack, their Supreme Tao Emperor weapons erupting. This entire area instantly became a world of darkness. Facing 20 demonic Quasi-Emperors, they didn't fall into a disadvantageous position, like great emperors, sweeping away all enemies. Just a mere body-covering technique, a person carrying the Taijuan ancestor doesn't have much strength. How can they be so terrifying? The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor crawled out from the ruins, his expression one of shock. Too powerful. Even 3 or 4 demonic Tao Quasi-Emperors working together couldn't defeat a single righteous Tao Alliance Quasi-Emperor who had just covered his body. Boom! The other righteous Tao Alliance Quasi-Emperors also attacked, terrifying bursts of light clashing with the remaining demonic Tao Quasi-Emperors. Meanwhile, below, 30 giants were wreaking havoc among the demonic Tao, as if they were in an empty space. Demonic Tao formations, combined attack techniques, even great emperor formations, all their trump cards were unleashed. 8 million demonic cultivators continuously retreated, their casualties becoming increasingly heavy. It seemed the demonic Tao army was about to be completely annihilated. Go! The heavenly demon Quasi-Emperor was shattered into pieces by a single punch, his physical body rebuilt. Looking down at the mountain of corpses and sea of blood below, the countless fallen demon cultivators, he couldn't help but roar to the heavens, unwillingly fleeing into the distance. Go quickly! The Yama Quasi-Emperor, holding his Supreme Tao Emperor weapon, was also furious, but ultimately fled far away. The other demonic Tao Quasi-Emperors swept away the remaining million demon cultivators, fleeing frantically into the distance. In an instant, more than 30 Quasi-Emperors had all fled. At their level, wielding Supreme Tao Emperor weapons made killing them extremely difficult. The decisive battle, victory. Ha ha ha, finally, victory. 10 million demon cultivators, 9 million annihilated, a great victory. The giant disintegrated, transforming into many righteous Tao Alliance cultivators. Seeing this, they immediately began cheering and shouting, their excitement overflowing. In countless years, this was the only great victory. The sword-slaying Quasi-Emperor and the heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor, among others, had also emerged from their divine summoning state, their bodies covered in blood, their faces pale, clearly having received a powerful force that was somewhat overwhelming. However, smiles appeared on their faces. This battle seemed simpler and easier than they had imagined. Of course, this was also the limit. The time limit for summoning a god was too great, and the number of demonic cultivators was simply too large. It was impossible to wipe them all out immediately. Fortunately, we have the Alliance leader, the heavenly punishment Quasi-Emperor said with a smile, showing his admiration. If it weren't for Yi Zhaoya's various powerful divine abilities and combined attack techniques, the Righteous Path Alliance would have been annihilated by now. Alliance leader. Alliance leader. Countless Righteous Path Alliance cultivators cheered, their eyes filled with extreme reverence. Leave Liu Zhou enter the main province to rest and recuperate, then completely eliminate the remaining 2 million demonic cultivators of the demonic path. Yi Xiaoyao smiled and immediately gave the order. He then glanced deeply at the countless corpses of demonic cultivators on the ground, muttering to himself, this war was too easy. The demonic cultivators were also easy to kill. Those not skilled in divination couldn't see the hidden meaning behind the war. This is also a trap. Someone is concealing the heavenly secrets. Yi Zhaoya's expression fluctuated between sharp and cold, finally giving a cold laugh. No matter who you are, I will settle the score later. What does settle the score mean? Zhu Jiyan, commanding the Righteous Path cultivators to clean up the battlefield, walked to Yi Zhaoya's side and said with a smile, nothing, you all clean up the battlefield and then retreat. I'll stay here for a while. Yi Xiaoyao shook his head. Zhu Jiyan was slightly startled, but given the great victory, he didn't ask many questions. Half a day later, Yi Zhaoyao's eyes were clear, surveying the entire battlefield, even the entire Liu Zhou, countless scattered remnants of souls. These were fragments of the souls of demonic cultivators after death. These souls! Yi Xiaoyao's heart stirred slightly. Ding! You observed 8 million soul fragments, scrutinizing the mysteries of the soul. You have gained some understanding. You have created the soul painting hand. Soul painting hand, a great emperor-level curse technique, a painter of souls, drawing the souls of evil beings. The more evil, the deeper the sin, the stronger the curse. Killing people invisibly from thousands of miles away, an invincible curse technique. As long as one's mind is twisted, achieving a psychological perversion and abstraction, one can successfully cultivate it. Yi Xiaoyao was slightly startled, his eyelids trembling, to the point of causing mental derangement. This is enough to turn even the great sages and quasi-emperors of the righteous path into something extraordinary. However, he still passed this technique down. This divine ability is extremely powerful, capable of killing people invisibly from thousands of miles away. It's the #1 emperor-level curse technique. It's extremely important for destroying the 12 demonic sects. Although the demonic alliance army has been more than half annihilated, the source and core remain. Truly destroying the demonic path is impossible unless they can deal with the dark forbidden zone behind them. Hiss! Emperor-level curse technique, twisted mind, deranged psychology. Upon seeing this, the killing sword quasi-emperor couldn't help but gasp, his gaze towards Yi Xiaoyao filled with deep awe. As a dignified quasi-emperor, if he successfully cultivated this technique, he didn't dare imagine what kind of state he would become. We'll take our leave first. Alliance leader, the demonic path is cunning, don't be careless. Sat Kim Chuan Jian on Hai Hon TT, Kocha Ken Kepcha Ji, LPPTICH on Fia Dip Di Down Noira. Nang Gi Kek Kung Lai Hing Fin Kang Thai, Tu Nui Kai Ji Chi Ne Bin Tai, Hang I Luk Zak Thuk Chi Siang Hin. GGNCNP Nuan Ri Thut, T Ziva Hene, Hen Hu Cha Eng Noi Kwe. N. Dip Diu Dao Ke Vut CCM, Kak Legion Hio Min Tiu SS Ton Bi and Riki Liu Show. Hen MT Mchen Hung H Kan, Non Quafia DGIVN Aspima HEOTU SSTHI the LS Ra Tiku Dung. Hen Bin Trong Then Non Fia DGI Ma Tiu VN Aspi, Then Non Vibun Kanko Hangingen Hang VN, Ma Dian Cha Trong Ko Thicht Bin Nuyan, Kang Lan Yu VN Aspi K. Hanyun the VN MDN, Lai Bang Ji Hanyun Ki Ji TCC Jin Ji Fab TIC Dung Hep Quiet, Ching Hio Then GN. Dip Tiu Dao and MTLS Ra Mnan Lai Divan, his hands clasped around him, the chaos immortal demon technique circulating. And countless streams of primordial light rose from the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, in a multitude of colors. Among them were primordial forms resembling small grass, large trees, and even Zhuanwu and Zhuk, as well as many Dao bodies and a few divine bodies. They were as numerous as a forest, reaching a height of 500,000. 8 million demon cultivators wielding the essence refining technique 500,000 was the limit. As the light streams dissolved into his body, Yi Xiaoyao's body glowed. The blood immortal Dao body, Yin-Yang Dao body, and other miraculous physics within him slowly faded and disappeared, gradually merging into one, forming an extremely dense, completely new stream of chaos light. He was both immortal and demonic. When almost all the primordial physical essence on the battlefield was devoured, Yi Xiaoyao's entire being underwent a transformation. He became even more handsome, his aura like that of a reincarnated immortal, or like a demon god descended from the heavens, a blend of two very strange qualities. Behind him, two colossal figures, one black and one white, appeared, towering over the land, both resembling Yi Xiaoyao. One in white, ethereal and otherworldly, untouched by dust. The other in black, radiating surging demonic energy and unparalleled dominance. Yi Xiaoyao remained at the quasi-emperor level, but his strength had already reached the peak of the Chaos Immortal Demonic Body. Chaos Immortal Demonic Body, perfected? This feeling, it's truly wonderful. Yi Xiaoyao's body glowed, and Ruoshan, the demon, took a deep breath, feeling a sense of being freed from shackles, a feeling of great freedom and liberation. Buddhism says that the world is like a great sea of suffering, and all beings are striving to cross it, all for the sake of reaching the other shore and achieving liberation. And he, though not yet at the other shore, has escaped the mire of the sea of suffering. His law's power and soul, now free from constraints, felt unbound. While not significantly more powerful than before, they were more than twice as strong. In other words, I can now truly say I've transcended the three realms, no longer bound by the five elements. A realization dawned on Ishaya as he looked down at the endless wastelands, mountain ranges, basins, and great rivers of the Kangyuan realm, a look of incomprehensible irony appearing on his face. From the very beginning of his cultivation, he had already felt himself being suppressed and rejected by this world. Now that his chaos body is complete, this feeling has disappeared. In a sense, his level of life has surpassed all other beings, becoming equal to this world. Until now, I have only just begun to uncover a corner of this world's veil. Yi Xiao understood even more deeply, and at the very moment his chaos body was complete, the first forbidden zone, the immortal tomb, the endless tomb forest began to tremble, and the gloomy, mysterious large tombs began to crack open. It's after countless years, the immortal tomb seal has finally opened. Ha ha ha. Ancient, decaying energy twisted the void, and figures carrying tomb earth crawled out from within. And in the deepest part of the three colossal tombs, two of them also cracked open, and an extremely terrifying figure, capable of confronting a great emperor, emerged. Ha ha, he finally succeeded. I've waited too long for this day. Inside a vertical eye socket, the ancient man in the black dragon robe revealed a smile. If there were a mythical era, they would surely recognize him as the earliest great emperor of the mythical era, the second-ranked Wind and Rain Great Emperor, the master of the 36 heavenly laws, the one who could summon wind and rain. Kill him, seize the chaos body, and after countless ages, become an immortal. Another young man in a long robe licked his lips, his eyes burning with intense fire. This man was the fourth-ranked star constellation Great Emperor, wielding the 30 heavenly laws, the one who could move stars and change constellations. The divine sorcerer meticulously calculates the world. He is the true mastermind. The chaos essence on Yi Xiaoya's body ultimately belongs to him. We'll just have to drink a little more of the broth, the Wind and Rain Great Emperor said coldly. The Star Emperor, hearing this, laughed coldly. Whoever achieves it first will be the first to become an immortal. Divine sorcerer, because we only make wedding dresses. The Wind and Rain Great Emperor's eyes flickered, remaining silent. As they stirred, the entire immortal tomb trembled, and powerful figures, so strong they could barely breathe, slowly emerged from the tomb, shouting and laughing wildly, stepping into this world. This terrifying era, welcome me. The Forbidden Zone's commotion, after countless years, began once again. The second Forbidden Zone was the Divine Weapon Repository, a vast canyon. Several figures, clad in ancient attire, coldly surveyed the vast land. Become an immortal, become an immortal. I want to become an immortal. Ha ha ha. A disheveled young man laughed maniacally, striding across mountains, rivers, and seas, heading straight towards Yi Xiaoyao's location. His speed was terrifying. This man was the fifth mythical figure, the master of the 36 heavenly laws, the owner of the golden light of the Tangdi, the golden light great emperor. After self-mutilation, countless years passed, and he became a supreme expert among gods and demons, a once-in-a-thousand-years event. In this era, even facing death, one still desires to become an immortal. Who dares to compete with me? In the dark Forbidden Zone, the god-slaying platform was also in turmoil, with figures descending from the sky one after another. Leading them was a red-haired man with bright red eyes, radiating ferocity and evil, his oppressive aura causing the space to warp. In other dark Forbidden Zones, such as the Underworld City, there was the 100 Ghosts Night Parade. In the Immortal Prison, prisoners broke out of their cells. In the Nine Yin Mountain, the great emperor of the Great Yin emerged, and the tombs of heroes were in turmoil. Not only that, in the land of gentle fragrance, countless pink skeletons emerged from the secluded valleys, led by two beautiful women. But the most eye-catching was a frail, pale-faced, handsome middle-aged man. Yi Nanshan, the divine shaman seals placed in the 8 great forbidden zones have all disappeared. Gods and demons are in chaos. Your son is in danger. They all want to devour this piece of immortal flesh of his. A beautiful woman in blue laughed, but don't worry, as his stepmother, I should protect him. Another beautiful woman in red also teased, why not introduce your son to me? I'll be your daughter-in-law and I'll protect him too. How about that? During the mythical era, the divine shamans calculated the world and obtained knowledge that a chaos immortal body had appeared in this era. At first, they didn't know who it was, but seeing the seemingly transcendent shackles of worldly restraints appearing on Yi Nanchen's body, they immediately recognized him. Yi Xiaoyao, my son is pure and spotless. How could he like a seductive woman like you? The handsome middle-aged man snorted coldly, very unceremoniously. He looked flustered, still remembering when he left home. Yi Xiaoyao's innocent yet pure big eyes. He wondered what had become of him after so many years. He must have grown into a bright, handsome young man. Thinking of this, he chuckled, yearning to meet him. Haha, but it's not because of you. My sister is the third strongest expert of the mythical era. She snatched a man for me, her older sister. Those gods and demons couldn't stop her, and you, as her father, can't stop her either. The beautiful woman in red smiled charmingly, licking her rosy lips. The handsome middle-aged man's face twitched, his expression suddenly changing drastically. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his aura weakening even further. He remained silent for a long time, then sighed, I don't have much longer to live. Hurry, I want to see my son before I die. Yi Nancha didn't understand what was happening to him. His cultivation was growing stronger, but his life force was weakening. However, after thinking about it, he had a hunch. As for the events in the dark forbidden zone, Yi Xiaoyao was unclear about them and had no mood for divination or deduction. Who are you? His eyes flashed with lightning, tearing through the void, staring intently into the distance. Where his gaze met, the ruined land of Lizhou trembled, and a wave of pressure, like a dragon turning over, swept towards them. At the edge of the vast wilderness, a giant strode forward, wielding a long whip, swiftly approaching to towering black mountains, covering thousands of miles in a single step, a truly astonishing speed. I will kill you. The giant's mouth opened, its voice like a resounding bell, his eyes fixed on Yi Xiaoyao as if he were a dead man, filled with murderous intent. This giant was the Quasi-Emperor who had been sent by the god-level sorcerer to capture and kill Yi Xiaoyao, ancient god clan ancestor. Yi Xiaoyao frowned at the ancient attire on his body. Then, looking at the two towering black mountains beside him, his gaze narrowed. The first of the 36 heavenly laws, the mountain-moving whip. You have some knowledge. The giant smirked, his entire body covered in dense runes, resembling a grand symbol. He sized up Yi Xiaoyao and said with a cold laugh, what a pity, reaching the peak of chaos and then dying. Otherwise, given time, you would definitely become the strongest person of this era. He had no doubt that this guy with the chaos body possessed this potential. Back then, Huang was just like that, so powerful that it was breathtaking. Even the master of the divine shamans was no match for him. How do you know I've reached the peak of chaos? Yi Xiaoyao frowned. Of course, the master informed me. The master has been practicing the myriad paths of cultivation. Although he doesn't know how your chaos body came about, he can sense that your chaos body is gradually becoming perfect. Your chaos body is merely a wedding dress for the master. The giant spoke, and with a loud bang, his whip swung, propelling to black giant mountains, suddenly slamming down towards Yi Xiaoyao in anger. You are very strong. Among quasi-emperors, even those few heavenly demons are probably no match for you. Yi Xiaoyao's expression was serious. This was his highest assessment. The giant could be called Diamond Immortal, possessing an immortal body. The symbols on his body were manifestations of his ultimate power. Among quasi-emperors, being able to imprint such powerful symbols on one's body meant being a first-tier expert. The second tier consisted of long-established quasi-emperors like the heavenly demons, with terrifyingly deep foundations. The third group consisted of those who were barely quasi-emperors in their 70s. But this person before him was incredibly powerful, a level Yi Xiaoyao had rarely seen in his life. Adding to that, those two massive black mountains, these things surpassed even the Supreme Zhou Emperor's weapons. Haha, thank you for the encouragement. To die beneath the divine mountains is your honor. The giant laughed, his heart filled with immense confidence. These two divine mountains, which he had forged since the mythical era, were arguably the strongest divine weapons, their defensive power and weight unparalleled throughout history, capable of crushing the heavens. Yi Xiaoyao's expression turned serious as he extended his hand. Bang! The divine mountains, reaching millions of feet in height, were instantly crushed by a single blow, embedded in the earth and disappearing, leaving only a pitch-black abyss. The giant, Yi Xiaoyao. The two looked at each other, then simultaneously bowed their heads to gaze at the abyss, falling silent for a moment.